welcome to sensational Adelaide in South Australia, the home of the Santos Tour Down Under. 1 kilometre to go. It is going to be a very close finish. Oh boy, that is a big result.
It's little wonder the biggest cycling teams in the world and the best riders in the world want to come to Adelaide in January each year for the Santos Tour Down Under. It is another magnificent day as we look down on South Australia. Sun is shining, we're headed for a top in the mid-30s today, not a breath of wind at the moment. These are perfect conditions for cycling and for World Tour racing. Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Mark Beretta. Thanks for joining us for the Santos Tour Down Under. It is stage 2 today of the women's race. It is the stage from Birdwood up to Uradla. It is a tough one, 90 kilometres, and we're looking forward to a great day. A really testing day. Yesterday we're on the coastline. Today we move into the Adelaide Hills. It's a little bit different for the riders. We'll head them off from Birdwood. They'll find their way to Williamstown. There are a series of sprints and Queen of the Mountain climbs to battle their way through. Each one worth bonus points, which become crucial as this race unfolds. Lots of steep, short climbs, so there'll be some real leg trainers and lung busters to get through here for the women of this race as they make their way towards our finish line here in beautiful Uradla, one of the most beautiful places, one of our most beautiful and scenic finish points on the Tour Down Under. All right, let's get started with our welcome to country.
Na mani, munoraida wangadi, mani rabuni gani yatada, iridi yata, tandandanga, machu wampa, wantandi, yakinga. Hello and welcome to the lands of the Kaurna people here in Adelaide, the special place of the Red Kangaroo, and here to this wonderful event, the Santos Tour Down Under. My name is Mickey O'Brien. I am a descendant of the Kaurna people, and it is wonderful to welcome you here, to bring you good blessings, to send away the old and the sad, because you are the important people. Nachu yakande, padiandu wadu. It's saying you are brothers and sisters. We walk together in harmony, and let us never say goodbye, always see you later, and I look forward to seeing you. Nakara nechaya. Thank you.
Mickey, thank you for that beautiful welcome to country. Well, things are getting underway out on the road at the moment as we get set to join our commentators. The race is under race neutral. The riders are moving off the start line. And let's join Gracie Elvin and Matt Keenan.
Singapore Airlines Stage 2 of the Santos Tour Down Under, starting in Birdwood, making its way through to Uradla. The flag has just dropped, and it's Team Bridge Lane straight away who is on the front trying to attack. And as we saw throughout yesterday's stage, it's Gina Ricciardo who is proving to be aggressive very early in the stage. It's a 90-kilometre stage. This is the shortest stage of the race, yesterday having been the longest 110 kilometres. Tomorrow, with the big climb up the corkscrew climb, is 93 k's. Yesterday's stage winner, she was a surprise packet, not just to many of us watching, but even to herself. It was Daria Pikulik, a Polish rider from the Human Powered Health team, her first ever World Tour race, and she managed to get across the finish line in first position. So she wears the ochre jersey as the leader of the general classification. Her advantage in the overall standings, that is determined by the time bonuses each time they go across the finish line for the stage winner. A 10-second time bonus for first place on each stage, 6 seconds for second place, 4 seconds for third place. So the general classification, it is Pikulik in first position. Clara Caponi from the FDJ team, second on the stage yesterday, second position overall at 4 seconds behind. It's then Georgia Baker, the Australian from the Jaco Ulula team. She's at 6 seconds off the pace, followed then by Grace Brown in fourth. Alex Manley is in fifth position in the general classification. I'm joined by a woman that knows these roads very, very well. She's ridden the Tour Down Under multiple times, a multiple Australian national road champion, Gracie Elvin. Gracie, the flag has just dropped. We've seen one attempt to try and get off the front by Gina Ricciardo. Perhaps it's when they've hit the first of the climbs on today's stage we will see the break finally get established.
Hi Matt, and hello everyone at home. I am very excited for today's stage. I think everyone's looking at stage 3 as the one that's really going to split up GC, but in my opinion today I think is really the danger. I think everyone has to be on their best behaviour. It doesn't look too hard on paper, but I think it's going to be really tough out there. The roads are dead, which means that they're pretty rough to ride on, not like that smooth hot mix. So every kilometre just zaps the legs. It's going to be hot as well. And there's going to be riders that want to make their mark before they get to the corkscrew on tomorrow's stage. So I've got my eye on Australian rider Grace Brown riding for the French FDJ team, but I think there's plenty of other riders such as Gina Ricciardo from Team Bridge Lane, a handful of riders from some of the national teams, the Australian national team and the New Zealand national team. I think there's going to be a very aggressive style of race today.
Well, Grace Brown, she has a very strong team around her. Two of her teammates featured heavily at the back end of the stage yesterday. The stage today got underway in Birdwood. It started in front of the National Motor Museum, a motor museum that started back in 1964, changed hands a few times. It started as the Birdwood Mill Pioneer Art and Motor Museum. It was eventually purchased by the South Australian Government. That was in 1976, before going across in 1982 to the auspice of History SA. Some incredible vehicles in that museum, Gracie. They've got a Peugeot Type 17 dating back to 1897. There's a Rolls Royce in there as well, Gracie, from 1925. There's a couple of Tiranas, and there's even a Datsun 120Y.
Well, I was going to say, some of those fancy old cars are pretty amazing to look at, but I'm a bit of a country girl. I don't mind a good old Datsun, so I'd really love to go and see some of the amazing machines that they've got in there. But we are looking at some amazing machines out on this road today, aren't we? There's some superior engines in this women's peloton. This is some of the world's best riders on the roads of Australia, including some top Australian riders. I mentioned Grace Brown as the one to beat today, but on that left of screen there in the pink and blue colours is Georgia Baker. She knows these roads really well as well. She was third on yesterday's stage. She's super fast, so I don't think she's really looking forward to some of the hills coming up, but she'll be very much in support of her teammates in Ruby Rose McGannon and local girl Alexandra Manley. So Alex, I know, has earmarked this stage. She knows these roads well, but she's also a great climber as well as having a really fast finish. So it's going to be a really exciting finale. I think that they're just mellowing out a little bit now. They know that the fireworks are going to happen a bit later today. It's not as windy as yesterday, but I think there's a little bit of a headwind at this first start of the stage.
Beautiful roads for a casual ride, exceptional roads for a bike race. Georgia Baker, we're already seeing the difference in the role from yesterday by comparison today. Yesterday, the protected rider, she was let out in the sprint, she finished third. Today, already on the front. That tells us today she's sacrificing herself for others.
That's right, Matt. If you're seeing riders on the front there pushing wind, it means they're protecting other riders in their team. So I am really looking at Georgia Baker as one of those right-hand men to riders such as Ruby Rose McGannon and Alex Manley. We're still not quite sure if the Jayco Alula team are riding in support of just one of those two riders in Manley and Rose McGannon, or if they're trying to hedge their bets and use them as a dynamic duo to overcome the likes of Amanda Spratt, three-time winner here, as well as Grace Brown.
Number 32, Daria Pukulik. What a win it was yesterday. Team Human Powered Health, they had good support towards the back end of the stage. They were a surprising win yesterday, Gracie. I don't know about you, but I wasn't tipping anybody from that team to win, and she did it well. For a sprint finish, she won by a bike length. You could almost classify that as comfortable.
She actually said in her interview that it was a little bit easy. She didn't mean that disrespectfully. She was talking about her skill set coming from track cycling. She does a lot of that track racing, the bunch racing style, like the points race and the elimination race and the omnium. So she's really used to that tight environment where people are jostling for position. You have to see those moments that open up. She was riding through the middle, which is a really risky thing to do in a bunch sprint, and it did open up, so she trusted her instincts from the track experience that she has. And she had that great speed in the legs from all that track racing, and she was certainly a surprise winner. She was delighted as well as surprised. It's her first big win. She's done quite well on the track, but the Human Powered Health team were just so happy to have a winner to really kick off the year. It's a smaller team, so it just means so much to get a World Tour win.
So pick a look, she wears the ochre jersey. She's also the leader in the race for the Zip Track points classification, but she can't wear that jersey today. The priority is the general classification. So in the blue jersey today is the second place finisher from yesterday, Clara Caponi, the French sprinter from the French team, wearing number 23. That jersey is on loan. Grace, I'm not sure that Clara Caponi today will be out to defend that jersey. She'll be out to support the woman that you spoke about earlier, Grace Brown.
That's right. Grace Brown really does not want to be isolated in the final 15 to 20 kilometres of this race. She needs strong teammates around her in case there's some aggressive racing from other teams, such as that duo I mentioned in Roseman Gannon and Manley. She needs to have another teammate there to help her cover any attacks and maybe support her through those final stages that are very much uphill over the climbs that go past Mount Lofty. So I'm looking at Clara Caponi as one of those top riders that we're going to see in the final of this race. Also Gladys Verhulst. She was the winner of that single Queen of the Mountain classification yesterday. So she's showing us that she's in good climbing form at the moment and will be really important for Grace Brown later in this race.
Super strong team. Weather conditions, it is into the mid to the high 20s. The forecast is for it to hit 33 degrees today, even hotter tomorrow at 37 degrees. Yesterday, on the weather front, it was the wind that was the biggest factor. As Gracie's already mentioned, the wind not as much of a concern today. 2 zip track intermediate sprints throughout today's stage. The first one coming after just 34 kilometres having been covered. That's when they make their way through Kearsbrook. That is with 55.5 k's to go. The second one in Summertown, much closer to the finish. That's just inside 15 kilometres remaining. And in the battle for the FX Queen of the Mountains jersey, there are 2 climbs today, and they're much bigger than what we saw yesterday. As we can see, the Australian champion, number 13, Brodie Chapman, pretty happy with the form of the entire Trek Segafredo team, talking to some of her former teammates. The 2 climbs today, the first one, that is on 50 kilometres to go. That is a Category 2 climb. It's 1 kilometre long. The final one, though, that is a big one. It's up Mount Lofty. It tops out with 10 k's to go on the stage. It's 6 k's long. It's a Category 1 climb, and we expect to see a change in the race for the polka dot jersey throughout today's stage. Yesterday, 1 climb, it was Gladys Verhulst who collected the maximum points ahead of Claire Steeles, and then it was Sophie Edwards in 3rd position over the top. Sophie rides for the ARA Skip Capital team, one of the local teams. We saw them aggressive throughout yesterday's stage with Izzy Carnes in particular, and this is a team that I'm expecting to look for a breakaway again today.
That's right, Matt. You can see the colours of the ARA Skip Capital right on the right of your screen. They've got that light blue and pink jersey. They're always really active in races. Over the last 5 years, they've been one of the main development teams in Australia for men and women, making the step between NRS racing to European racing that much easier for the Aussie riders to make that jump across, because it is such a big step, and I love watching them race. They're always trying to get riders not just racing aggressively for no reason, but with a purpose, and we saw a really great performance from Izzy Carnes yesterday. She's the youngest in this peloton, and she was in that breakaway of the day, being that one to initiate it in the first place. But I was really happy to see Sophie Edwards also going for the FX Queen of the Mountain points as well. Going for some of those classifications is a really important goal for some of these smaller teams.
And adding to the success of that team, they had Lucy Stewart, 9th, youngest rider in the race. She's 18 years of age, so too is Izzy Carnes, but Lucy's just a couple of months younger. The future is bright with Australian cycling when we see those names you've just mentioned in the thick of the action in a World Tour race.
It is amazing that they can come and rub shoulders with some of the world's best. Some of the world's best, including there's plenty of Australian riders, most notably Amanda Spratt here. She'd be one of the highest profile riders in this peloton. But they're getting to learn and get so much race experience. It's a peloton of just over 75 riders, and to get that feeling of a bigger bunch that you don't quite get when you're doing the National Series racing, just getting the feel of being so close to that many riders, but also the tactics of racing. That's such a huge part of our sport, is the strategy out on the road. Matt, you and I like to call it chess on wheels, and it's not just about who's the strongest or the fittest. It's about who can put all of those moves together or pieces of the puzzle together, and you have to learn so much about race tactics, fitness, even nutrition, and you're going to make a lot of mistakes out there, and these are the races that you're going to learn the most.
Bike IQ can take you a long, long way. They're on grazing land at the moment. They're heading back towards the Barossa. They'll be making a left-hand turn towards Williamstown, where they'll be having heading towards the first of the intermediate sprints. The first intermediate sprint comes after 34.5 kilometres having been covered. The Australian national colours, we're seeing them, Gracie, right in the middle of the road. In second position is Josie Talbot. She's got the little bit of red on her white helmet, wearing the green and gold. We spoke about her a lot yesterday as a chance with a sprint finish. Today, her role, I'm assuming, will be to protect Nicole Frayne. Nicole Frayne looked pretty good yesterday, finishing 12th.
Nicole Frayne did definitely look good yesterday, and to be racing up in those top positions in a bunch sprint, she wasn't going for the overall result. I'm sure she would have liked to get a podium yesterday, but it was more about staying in good position, staying out of the crashes, but also making sure that if there were any splits in the peloton, she wouldn't be given a time penalty as a time gap, and that's an important part of overall general classification racing, is you still have to be involved in those bunch sprints to some extent, just so you don't ever lose seconds in an overall race for time. So we're looking at 113 there, just moving out of screen, one of the national jerseys there. You can easily spot them in the green and gold colours. Number 26 though is Gladys Verholst.
She was brilliant yesterday. She picked up the one Queen of the Mountains point, and I'm looking forward to seeing what she does today to try and defend that jersey or not defend that jersey. Gracie, the first of the climbs comes at almost the midway point on the stage. It's when they make their way up the northeast ridge. That's it, Gamaraka. That is 40 kilometres in, 49 kilometres remaining. Do you think that she'll get the freedom to try and defend the jersey or support Grace Brown? We'll talk about that in a moment as we talk about Nicole Frayne. She was very good yesterday. A solid start to the season after skipping the national championships.
That's right. We were just mentioning her making her way through the peloton in that bunch sprint finish, making sure she was in good position there. But that shows us that she's in good form. It was such a fast last few kilometres, wasn't it, Matt? It meant that you had to be... It was a bit of an honest sprint, in my opinion, in that you could be quite exposed if you didn't have that fitness and speed in your legs. But I think she's definitely looking more forward to today's stage. We would think of it as a bit of an opportunist stage, and she's got that really nice all-round capability as a rider that really set her up to win those road national championships last year. But she's going to be looking ahead to her season racing for the Dutch team Park Hotel Valkenburg, and she got to have so much experience last year racing even at the Tour de France Femme. So I think she's really looking forward to building on her experience and using this race as a bit of a springboard to her success coming up in Europe.
It's been a rapid rise for Nicole Frayne. She hasn't been racing for that long, really, and she's made great progress, as Gracie mentioned, riding with one of the biggest teams in the world, and last year she did ride the Tour de France. Back briefly to the leader of the FX Queen of the Mountains jersey, Verhulst. I'm not convinced she's going to be out to defend that polka dot jersey, with the bigger priority being to support Grace Brown.
No, you're right, Matt. I'd say that I think it's a bit on the fence whether she's allowed to go for those Queen of the Mountain points on offer. She'd like to retain that jersey, but that team's overall focus is really on Grace Brown and to win the race overall. So I think that she's going to be a really important person for Grace later in this race. It gets much harder as we get into those last 15 kilometres, and Grace does need a little bit of help around her. She doesn't want to be isolated. If it's a group of 10 riders, which it's going to break up so much when they come through Uradla and go up towards Mount Lofty.
There she is, number 21. Silver medalist last year at the World Championships in the individual time trial. One of the big favourites to take out the title here at the Santos Tour Down Under. Another rider who's made rapid progress throughout a relatively short career. I'm firmly of the view that Grace Brown, her best years are still in front of her.
I really think so too, Matt. But, man, she's impressed us so far, hasn't she?
Yeah. I've
been telling the story a bit around the traps this tour so far that she was one of my lead-out riders back in 2019 into Stirling. And she was just so strong. I couldn't even hold the wheel. She just rode away from me and the rest of the peloton, took the stage win. I don't think all of us knew how good she was going to be. She might have been, but she was keeping it quiet until that day. But she's only gotten better and better since. She has performed amazingly in time trialling. But she's also one of those riders that can really do it all, especially in those one-day classics in Belgium and in France. She's done so well in some of those really top-level races like Liège-Bastogne-Liège. And I think she's just such a well-rounded rider, but she's also a smart bike rider as well.
She comes from a running background. She was an elite middle distance runner, and she's got plenty of punch on the short climbs and the sorts of races that Gracie just mentioned. Team Bridge Lane trying to get a breakaway going along with the co-op squad out of Norway. Here goes Bridge Lane down the left side. This looks like Lily Pollock, who is launching the attack. Reaction coming quickly from ARA Skip Capital. Georgie Whitehouse, by the looks of it, responding. We saw a lot of her yesterday. Tough to get the first breakaway to go. Here goes Gina Ricardo once again from Bridge Lane. She was in the major breakaway of the day yesterday. That's when she was with Izzy Carnes of ARA Skip Capital, and is that team once again responding to Gina Ricardo. It's double-edged sword, a short stage. Lends itself to really aggressive racing, but because it's short, this stage should take roughly 2.5 hours to get completed. It's actually harder for the breakaway to get established. It's on the longer days where the peloton is a little more relaxed about letting the breakaway form out in front, because it gives them more time to try and reel things back in. This is Nguyen, the Vietnamese rider from the Israel Premier Tech team now, who is going on the attack. They too were aggressive yesterday. No joy as yet with the attempts to get off the front of the peloton. 73 riders on the start line today. Unfortunately, we had a couple of nasty crashes yesterday, and as a result of those crashes, one non-starter today. Simone Bollard, the Canadian from the Saint-Michel team, the French team, the one non-French rider on that team, was involved in the crash with 15 Ks to go on yesterday's stage. She's a non-starter today. Also from yesterday's stage, we saw Lizzie Stannard didn't start because of a crash in training on Friday. We wish her all the best with her recovery. Emma Langley from the EF Education team, she was a non-starter yesterday. And Keely Bennett, that awful fall at the midway point in the stage yesterday for Team Bridge Lane. Hit a pothole, hands slipped off the bars, went down heavily, skin off all the way across her shoulders. The jersey was torn to pieces. The good news was she borrowed the phone of the paramedic as she was on her way to hospital for observations, gave mum a call to let her know that as bad as it looked, she's okay given the circumstances. Emily Watts now on the attack from Bridge Lane with a teammate following. So clear instructions from Martin Barras, the sports director for Team Bridge Lane. Get in the breakaway, but at the very least try and force the breakaway. It's precisely what they're doing. Still 22 Ks away from the Zip Track Intermediate Sprint. That's as they make their way through Kersbrook. And they are 77 Ks away from the top of the first of the climbs in the FX Queen of the Mountains competition. That's when they make their way through Gamaraka. The co-op team from Norway, again, going on the attack. This was arguably the second most aggressive team that we saw in the race yesterday. This is Georgia Dunford, who's going on the attack for them. Type of vehicle that we don't like to see busy at this time of year. All back together again. Co-op team once more going on the charge. It's Jorgensen this time who is attacking. She tried desperately yesterday, and this is interesting to see the rider who is following her. That is Clara Capone. She wears the blue jersey, the Zip Track points classification. Second on the stage yesterday, Clara Capone, marking the moves, making sure FDJ is in any breakaway so they don't have to do any chasing. Clever riding by that squad. This is Kerry Yonka at the back. She's had a mechanical problem. She's returning to the race. Part South African, part Australian. She knows these roads really well. She may as well be classified as one of the locals. Thumbs up to her team car. All's good. Thanks for the quick wheel change. We're back in business, into the convoy and chasing to regain contact with the peloton. And the irony for Kerry Yonka, as she is trying to get back in contact, it's her teammates who are attacking at the front. Georgia Danford, once again, from the Co-op High-Tech Products team. Kiwi on that squad. A team that's got Norway, the UK, Netherlands, South Africa and New Zealand represented. An international squad. That looked like Jessica Pratt in the colours of Team Bridge Lane. Good performance yesterday by Jessica Pratt. She was in front of the split that happened in the peloton. She's at 10 seconds down in the general classification. She was 23rd on the stage yesterday. There was a small split in the peloton with 30 riders getting the same time as the stage winner. There was then a 6-second split back to 31st position, which was Nina Bulsman. Just behind her was Danny DiFrancesco, the team leader for the ZAF cycling team. Rachel Naylor was another one, unfortunately, who missed that split. Naylor would be the first to confess that sprint finishes like yesterday are not her cup of tea. Stages such as today, and even more so tomorrow, are right in the sweet spot for Rachel Naylor. So we'll be looking closely to see number 112 from the Australian national team in the thick of the action at the back of today's stage when they make their way up Mount Lofty. Passing along the Warren Reservoir, and it's Lisa Klein, the German from Trek Segafredo, who wants to get past it the quickest. One of the race motorbikes, that's an official photographer, getting in the way. A mistake, fortunately no consequences. They've opened up the throttle to break away from the race and maybe not get quite such a close shot. That's what the lens is for. Georgia Baker from the Jaco Alula team, third on the stage yesterday. She's the one responding. It's clear what her role is today. She's not the protected rider as she was yesterday. South Australia is turning on its best to welcome back the greats of world cycling. For the past 2 years, this race was known as the Santos Festival of Cycling. It was a National Road Series level race as opposed to a World Tour race. This year, for the first time, a World Tour race. There is a lot at stake. After having seen the smaller teams, Bridge Lane, Co-op, ARA, Skip Capital, trying to force the breakaway, we're now seeing the big squads get into the thick of the action. Trek Segafredo, the leader of the FX Queen of the Mountains classification, is also there. Gladys Verhulst, she's the rider, looking across the left shoulder, swinging to the right-hand side of the screen. Alex Manley also there for Jaco Alula. The Kiwis coming forward. Really notable the presence of riders from FDJ Suez at the front of the race. We've seen Caponi, Verhulst, who performed really well yesterday. They've marked a few of the breakaways. We're now seeing other riders in that kit also marking the next flurry of attacks. Making their way through the Hale Conservation Park, 4 riders trying to slip off the front of the peloton.
Time for a channel change for viewers in South Australia. You can watch on the main 7 channel. For viewers in other states, if you head across to 7 Flicks to keep watching the Santos Tour Down Under. So for viewers in South Australia, channel 7 for you. For others, 7 Flicks right now.
welcome to sensational Adelaide in South Australia, the home of the Santos Tour Down Under. 1 kilometre to go. It is going to be a very close finish. Oh boy, that is a big result.
It is no wonder the world's best riders and the world's greatest teams love coming to South Australia at this time of the year. Have a look at this for riding conditions. It is absolutely perfect. 35 degrees, the expected top today. Not a breath of wind at the moment as our riders make their way up into the Adelaide Hills today. Coast yesterday, time to hit the hills today. It is a magnificent day ahead of us for stage 2 of the Santos Tour Down Under, the women's race. Hi everyone and welcome. Mark Beretta here with you to welcome you to our coverage of this fantastic event every year. Gracie Alban alongside me. Gracie, fantastic this race today, of course, underway at the moment. They've been rolling on now for about 20-25 minutes and the course very interesting for our riders as well. It's a difficult one, different to yesterday, a bit more climbing today.
That's for sure. Yesterday was the flat stage, the sprinter stage. Today is the one that I've earmarked as my favourite stage because I think it's going to be very unpredictable. I think everyone was looking forward to the corkscrew finish for tomorrow's stage, but the middle stage of the 3-stage races for the Santos Women's Tour Down Under, I think that's going to be the one that's most dangerous for the GC riders.
Yeah, and a difficult stage as well yesterday. The heat was, well, it wasn't as bad as it has been the last couple of days, but we had that terrible crosswind that really knocked the bunch around in stage 1.
That's right, the crosswinds played havoc at stage 1, but it wasn't to be. The wind direction had to be just perfect. It wasn't quite right. When the flag was dropped, they raced into a headwind for about 20k, so not a lot happened. They were just conserving energy, knowing that the crosswinds were coming up and they needed to save energy for that. But it was the first FX Queen of the Mountains points that were taken by French rider Gladys Verhulst from the FDJ Suez team, followed closely behind Australian rider Sophie Edwards in third, making her mark for the ARA Skip Capital team. And this was the part of the race where the riders started to notice that it was a few more opportunities for aggression. The zip track first intermediate sprint points were taken out by rider Grace Brown, taking also some bonus seconds that counts towards the overall. But it was the attack from Izzy Carnes from the ARA Skip Capital team with 33k to go. That was my ride of the day. She pulled out other Australian rider Gina Ricardo from Team Bridge Lane. They worked together really well. They were able to claim those points in the second zip track intermediate sprint. Izzy claimed the most competitive rider of the day, which we were very pleased about. She's only 18 years old, but showing that she's worthy of a place in the Women's World Tour peloton. They were caught with about 10k to go, and that's where the Trek Segafredo team put it in the gutter. They tried to split the bunch up in the crosswinds. They were able to draw out a number of riders, but it did come down to a bunch sprint, and it was such an exciting finish. Team Jaco Alula just starting a bit too early, Georgia Baker running out of legs, and it was the Polish rider Daria Pikalik that took the win, and it was a surprising win for her and that team.
Probably the happiest winner we'll have all tour too. She really loved that yesterday. Here's the standings, and some of your former teammates doing pretty well too early on, Gracie.
Well, we had some great sprinters there in Daria Pikalik, Clara Capone and Georgia Baker in the top 3. It was Grace Brown also up in the mix. We're looking at the overall standing. So Amanda Spratt was actually 5th on the stage, but because of the bonus seconds allowed, that's why the general classification is different. Great to see the youngest rider, Lucinda Stewart, up in the top 20 riding for the ARA Skip Capital team. So we've got some great names to look for today. A few sprinters, a few climbers. I think it's going to be a really hot stage today.
Yeah, it is a fantastic one. And one of our favourite finishes here too in Uradla. It is a hugely picturesque town. There is the pub across the road here where the crowd are already making their way and getting comfortable, settling in for the day. And of course, Gracie has put us here in the Lost in a Forest pizza restaurant, which is fantastic for us. So thank you, Gracie.
I'll have one large pizza, please.
Yeah, that's on its way. But it is an interesting stage today because there are some steep, punchy climbs. This is one that's going to hurt the legs and really burn the lungs a little bit too.
That's right. Singapore Airlines Stage 2 starts in Birdwood. They head north towards Williamstown. It's not going to be a lot of action. They're going mostly flat and downhill in this section, but they head back south towards Kersbrook where they'll go through the first zip track sprint number 1 at 34.5k. They're followed shortly by the FX Queen of the Mountain
mountain classification at 40.5. Then they're heading through towns like Gumaracha, Labithol, Lenswood, Forest Range and Carey Gully before they come through the finish line in the opposite direction through Uradla, and that's when the stage is really going to see some action. They're going to head up in the climbs towards Summertown and go through the Mount Lofty region, looping back towards Uradla, and I think that's where we're going to see so much action. So I'm really looking at that second zip track sprint as a setup to some aggressive racing up towards Mount Lofty, and it's going to be a small group of maybe 10 riders. We're even likely to see a solo finishing rider to win the race today.
And a tough finish line here too, because it is actually uphill to the finish line, so there's a little bit of work to do right to the end.
That's right, it's a tough finish. It's actually a corner with a couple of 100 metres to go, so you have to be quite a clever rider as well as super fit to get through that really difficult last 15k. But we can see the riders signing on now. They've got those bumps in the back of their jersey. That's an ice pack in a stocking, so that's a bit of a secret to road racing, how they keep cool as they start the stages on hot days like today.
Yeah, it is going to be a big issue today too. Temperatures in the mid-30s today. It's going to be a hot one out on the road. Of course, that's amplified when you're racing on the bitumen as well. It is much hotter out on the road, as we know. Let's go to James Tobin now, who's out and about for us. Take us to all the action, JT.
Yeah, we're here with all the team cars as the teams are getting ready for stage 2 today. And the leader, Dario Pikalik from the Human Powered Health team. The Santos Ochre jersey looks good on you, I have to say.
Yeah, this is the same color as our team color, and I have an orange bike, so it looks really nice. And
Did you bring the orange bike in preparation for the Ochre jersey?
no, but it looks like I am prepared for have this jersey in this race. So
Now, you've won medals on the track at the World Cup, at the World Championships, but yesterday's stage win on the road, how big of a deal is that for you and your career?
yeah, I have like something from track that you need to when you have like fast legs. You are a sprinter, so the track helps a lot to find you're in a good position. And with the end, like yesterday, when you have like really strong wind, for me it's okay. I like it, and we have something like that from the track, I think.
Brilliant. Can we see you in Ochre tomorrow? Will you get over Mount Lofty and fight for the win?
Yeah, I hope so.
All right, well, all the best for today. Let's come over here to the FDJ team. Why don't we start over here with the FX Polka Dot jersey. Gladys Philp, good morning to you. Can I squeeze on in here? Congratulations on the jersey. Looks great.
Yeah, it's so cool. I'm happy with the jersey.
So we've got Mount Lofty today. What can we expect from the FDJ team?
Sorry?
We're climbing Mount Lofty today.
Yeah.
Are we going to see you flying up, or are you going to be protecting Grace?
Yeah, we protect Grace, but we will see the situation of the race. If I can to defend my jersey, I will do, but I will see.
Well, let's go and speak to Grace Brown. A 3-second time bonus yesterday in the sprint. Congratulations. How do you see today unfolding?
I think today is going to be an aggressive day. It's not a very long day, but there's a lot of climbing, not steep, long climbs, but all the time it's up and down. So I think it'll be quite taxing on the legs, and it's hot, of course. So, yeah, I think it'll be a hard race, and there's some teams planning to attack, I'm sure.
Yesterday we were talking about the wind. Today we're looking at temperatures above 30 degrees. Now, of course, you've been here in Australia. The rest of the team have come from France, where it's 10 degrees or less. How much is the heat going to play a part today?
Oh, I don't know if the Aussies are that acclimatised to this heat either. We've had a bit of a slow start to summer in some of the states, but especially Victoria, where I'm from. So, yeah, maybe a little bit more acclimatised, but I think it's going to be taxing in the heat today for everyone.
All right, well, the race for the general classification is well and truly underway. Exciting day today.
Awesome stuff, JT. Thanks for that, James, giving us an insight there into our leading contenders. Interesting time now, because the Australians, of course, have come off the national championships in Ballarat. So a lot of the Aussies in great shape and great condition. As JT mentioned, a lot of the Europeans have come out of the winter there, have not, A, had a lot of riding, and B, have been in very cool temperature conditions. They'll get a wake-up call today because those mid to high 30s are really going to knock the bunch around. Of course, remember, we're in the hills as well. Those conditions are tough. There's not much breeze once you're in those hills, and they'll be really grinding it out. So plenty of action coming your way today. Of course, the riders are out on the road at the moment. So let's head off now and join your commentators. And Scott McGrory is there doing some great stuff for us. Scotty's out on the road. He's going to give us his preview for today. Thanks, Scotty.
So stage 2 for Daria Pikalik, the race leader, and her human-powered health team. It's going to be a real challenge for them to control the race. They are reduced in numbers, having one rider not start stage 1, so it will be really tough for them to control the race, but they will do their absolute utmost. We know that Daria is a fast sprinter. Today, it's not a race for the sprinters. It's going to be much more difficult towards the end, but maybe the ochre jersey will give her some wings and she'll lift to the occasion and still be there at the very end. Inside the last 30 kilometres, though, that's when it really gets tricky. The second Queen of the Mountains climb of the day isn't super steep, but it's enough to split the peloton to pieces. Look out for the 3 top teams. Jaco Alula looking for Ruby Roseman Gannon, trying to get her to the finish line. If she can be there, she's certainly fast enough to win in a reduced group. But Trek Segafredo and also the FDJ team, they're looking after Amanda Spratt and also Grace Brown. Both riders want the race to be split to pieces today on the run into the finish in Uradla. So it is difficult enough for that to happen. So I think those 3 top teams are the ones that are going to try and do everything they can today, and pointing out the fact that Grace Brown picked up a 3-second time bonus on stage 1. That could be crucial for the overall standings, and very smart. I know the Trek Segafredo were very upset with their riders not monitoring that sprint yesterday towards Wollonga. So look for a lot of action today. It's really going to come down to it in Uradla. I think there'll be a group of 5, maybe 10 riders maximum.
All right, Scott, great insight. And remember, Scott is not only Olympic gold medalist, but he's also race director of the national title, so he knows a lot of these riders very, very well and what sort of form they're in at the moment. So great to have his look at the race. Remember the stage, 90 kilometres. It is the shortest of the women's tour, but they are already almost a third of the way down, reaching the 63-kilometre mark shortly, and things are rolling along quite nicely at the moment as the bunch sorts itself out. So let's join our commentators, of course, Gracie Elvin and Matt Keenan.
.63 kilometres remaining, the peloton altogether. There's been multiple attempts for riders to break away, but it hasn't quite landed as yet. Uradla is the destination. The pub is a comfortable place to sit back and wait for the race to get here. The race does come through Uradla twice. The first time they're going the opposite direction through the finish line, and the next time round it's a right-hand turn. They'll see the finish line with 150 metres to go, and it's ever so slightly uphill to the finish line. Positioning on that last corner will be crucial. Gracie Elvin, it has been a relatively aggressive start, yet the pattern is quite similar to yesterday in that a breakaway has not been able to form.
There's a lot of riders in this peloton are very keen to get in the breakaway, and sometimes that makes it tough because the bunch just keeps welding itself back together as everyone feels like they're missing out and they want to jump across, but they're just dragging everyone else back. So it looks like Trek Segafredo really want an aggressive race today, as do some of the smaller teams. ARA Skip Capital want to get themselves in the mix, as well as Team Bridge Lane. There's plenty of other teams, though, that want to keep it all together. They want to look after their GC riders. So it's a bit of a game out there, isn't it, Matt? Some riders want to break it all apart and the rest want to keep it all together, and that's what makes getting a breakaway successfully going really difficult.
This is Victoire Gilman from FDJ Suez. She's been active already today. You mentioned the smaller teams, Gracie, trying to get into the breakaways, but FDJ, of the big World Tour teams, they have certainly been the most aggressive looking for the moves. You spoke about Trek Segafredo, they're on the left-hand side of the screen. Their sports director, Ina Teutenberg, somebody that you know well, reportedly not happy at all with the team enabling Grace Brown to get the time bonus yesterday. We are less than 10 kilometres away from the first of the time bonuses today, and Trek are making a statement early at the front.
That is interesting, but not surprising, isn't it, Matt? I'd say that they do not want Grace Brown to get any more bonus seconds, and she's just such a strong rider. She's such an all-rounder. She can really claim those points when it comes to fast intermediate sprints even sprints at the finish as well. So she's such a dangerous person on a course like this. They're using riders like Taylor Wiles, Loretta Hanson to try and get up the road because they're usually in that domestique role, which means they're protecting Amanda Spratt, but it also means that sometimes they're having to jump up the road as well to claim bonus seconds in a situation like this.
As much as we talk about those intermediate sprints for the points classification, it's the time bonuses that are most important for the overall standings. Yesterday's stage winner, Daria Pikuluk, her first World Tour race. What a way to start. Joining a new team, Team Human Powered Health. Brilliant track cyclist. She's been a bronze medalist in a World Cup race in an Omnium. She used that track craft to great effect yesterday. Outstanding start by her.
It was a really amazing win for her. First Women's World Tour win. She's more known as a track cyclist. She does very well in those bunch races on the track, such as the points race. So she was able to use those experiences from that really fast-paced action on the track to weave her way through that peloton in that bunch sprint finish. It was such a fast finish because they had a tailwind, and having that speed in the legs from track cycling would have been a huge advantage in the sprint that we saw yesterday.
6 kilometres away from the first of the intermediate sprints. She also leads the Zip Track points classification. That jersey today, though, has been worn by second position, Clara Caponi. Are you expecting to see Pikuluk contest the intermediate sprint with the hope of maybe the little time bonus, which could give her more chance of holding on to the ochre jersey, or thinking about the points classification as a chance to win that outright?
That's a really good question, Matt. I'm not sure how she's going to play these intermediate sprints, but if I was her, I'd probably just leave them alone, knowing how hard the finale of this race is. You need every last watt going through that gradual climb from Uradla all the way through Summertown up to Mount Lofty. It's going to be quite attritional in that latter part of the race today. So if she wants any hope of retaining the ochre jersey, I think it's putting all your biscuits at the end of this race rather than going for the intermediate sprints.
And it's only going to get hotter. It's 28 degrees now. The forecast is for 32, 33. And we're seeing number 14, Taylor Wiles, another one of your former teammates in the race. Jersey fully opened, trying to get some natural air conditioning in.
It's a day about managing your body as much as it is about racing smartly out there. They're going to be having to take a lot of water on board, a lot of electrolytes. Personally, I like to have one bottle of each. I'd have a fresh bottle of water because the sweet electrolyte drinks get a bit gross after drinking them so much, but they're going to be having a lot of gels, but at the start they would have been having a lot of iced water. Even some riders like to have slushies.
The new Ultima ZTS, now with steering wheel. Expect performance, ultimate control, ultimate stability. Steer it to believe it. The new Ultima ZTS from Cub Cadet.
Tim Payne and Justin Langer, both of them are gone.
Pat Cummins, 47th Test captain.
What's next for us? We want to be number one in the world.
The world you left behind fell victim to greed, war, ignorance. We have been entrusted with a second chance. Welcome to Terra Nova, folks.
From Steven Spielberg, the series that's like Jurassic Park meets Avatar.
Welcome to paradise.
Streaming on 7+, produced here in Australia.
We did the right thing, didn't we? Coming here.
Come on.
Terra Nova, streaming now on 7+. Stream big.
We all want a fairy tale ending. It's true. But saving for a deposit is like walking through glue. Great Southern Bank puts dreams into action with tools like the Vault and the Boost to get traction. You might be single or with a growing clan. Everyone's different. You just need a plan. The best dreams are filled with hope and with laughter. Great Southern Bank. Happily clever after.
I love my stepwalk.
With 58.3 kilometres remaining, they are just 3 kilometres away from hitting the streets of Kersbrook and the first of the Zip Track Intermediate Sprints and the all-important time bonuses that will be up for grabs. Love seeing that red number. That is Izzy Carnes. What a star she was yesterday. 18 years of age, second youngest rider in the race.
And we're looking at number 2 there. That is Alexandra Manley. She grew up in Nairn and so she knows the hills of Adelaide so well. She knows every corner of these roads. She knows the dead roads, the fast roads. She's the one of the riders that I'm looking at today. She is a track rider, but she's also spent so much time on the road. She started with the Green Edge team back when she was 19, so she's ridden as a domestique when I was racing for a very long time, but now she's coming into her own. She had a breakout year in 2022. She won the overall GC in Thüringen, which is a very good tour in Germany. Not only did she win the overall, she won 4 out of 6 stages. She's got some really great support around her. Georgia Baker there, number 4, just on her wheel. Number 1 there on the right is her teammate Ruby Roseman Gannon. And I like to see Manley and Roseman Gannon as a bit of a duo that can really go head-to-head and try and isolate riders that don't have co-leadership, like Grace Brown in FDJ and like Amanda Spratt in Trek Segafredo.
Do you think the Jayco Alula team made the right decision yesterday, working for Georgia Baker, thinking long-term, number 1, Ruby Roseman Gannon could win this race overall, and the time bonus yesterday could have been handy?
Look, that's a tough one. It's a bit of a dual objectives in stage racing. Do you go for stage wins or do you try and protect everyone that you want to protect for the overall classification? Georgia Baker is one of Australia's best road sprinters. She's also a track rider, but she won the Commonwealth Games gold medal last year on the roads, and she's won plenty of other big bike races. She had the speed in the legs, she's got the fitness, but they did lead out too early, and it was a tailwind finish, so they just ran out of legs. I think they did everything right except for just going too early.
Number 21, Grace Brown. She's been followed by Clara Caponi. Caponi wears the blue jersey, the Zip Track blue jersey for the points classification. She was second on the stage yesterday. I'm anticipating, though, Gracie, her role here should be, for the team's benefit long term, not to worry about that jersey for herself, but to lead out Grace Brown.
I really think you're right, Matt. It looks like we've got a few lead-out trains getting organised now. Trek Segafredo on the left of your screen there. And as you're saying, FDJ Suez, they really need to look after Grace Brown. They've got a couple of riders in the front there looking after Grace, and Clara Caponi is going to be the fast rider that will help get her across the line, mob up a few more bonus seconds, but they're going to need a couple of riders around Grace near the end of this stage too, so it's about balancing their manpower.
1 kilometre from the intermediate sprint. Trek Segafredo, their sports director, Ina Turtenberg, wasn't happy with FDJ being able to deliver Grace Brown to the time bonuses yesterday. So this time around, it's Taylor Wiles who was on the fronts, protecting their leader. FDJ trying to do the same. Likewise, Jayco Alula, they are squeezing up the right-hand side of the road, trying to find a way through for both Ruby Roseman Gannon and Alex Manley. It's a tough sprint. It's an uphill drag. Loretta Hansen up and out of the saddle. Spratt looking composed. Lisa Klein also coming forward. Grace Brown with a quick check across the shoulder. Jayco Alula, they're also looking, searching for their 2 leaders. Number 4, Georgia Baker. She slips in behind Spratty. She's then followed by Ruby Roseman Gannon. Ruby moves her way up the inside of the road. Also coming forward, Jessica Allen with the lead out for Alexandra Manley. Nicole Frayne in the Australian national team kit. She's also getting into the mix. She's thinking long term in this race. And Manley on the right-hand side of the screen. Roseman Gannon coming down the middle. It's Caponi in blue, second from yesterday. She's trying to take the point. She wants to dab the brakes to let Brown come over the top, but preventing Brown from getting maximum points, it was Sanguinetti who collected the 3-second time bonus. But another great result for Brown. She gets 2 more seconds. That puts her 5 seconds ahead of her biggest rivals.
Geez, Matt, that was almost raced like a final sprint, wasn't it? They were going very fast. Those lead-out trains were getting all over the place. Jayco Alula had 2 separations of their team on each side of the road. It's the Trek Segafredo team that are keeping on the charge. Alara Sanguinetti taking those maximum bonus seconds away from Grace Brown. It was great to see Grace collecting 2 bonus seconds, making sure she's still mopping up every second, because every second does count. There's plenty of riders from these top teams making sure that any breakaway that uses that sprint as a launching pad are up there and monitoring that situation.
Here's another look at the sprint finish. And this was smart riding by FDJ. Capone dabbing the brake, making sure Brown could get over the top. Trek Segafredo riding in defence, trying to steal the time bonuses away from Grace Brown.
That is really smart bike riding, but from the Trek Segafredo team, trying to get those maximum seconds so they can protect their team leader in Amanda Spratt, making sure that Grace Brown isn't getting too much of an advantage. They're really looking forward to the corkscrew tomorrow. That's going to make some big separations in time in the bunch, but they still need to make sure that those extra bonus seconds aren't going to be the things that make the overall race, the results change at the end of this tour.
We've redefined, redesigned and rebuilt it. Expect stronger. Expect a serious command centre. Step up to the new Ultima Zero Turn from Come Cadets. Drive it. We dare you.
This is the Davis family. They love to watch sport, but it's not as fun in the sweltering heat. With Panasonic air conditioning, you can create your perfect environment.
Tim Payne and Justin Langer, both of them are gone.
Pat Cummins, 47th Test captain.
What's next for us? We want to be number 1 in the world.
Hi, my name's Alexander and I'm the world's biggest Luna Park fan. Just for fun!
Hey, Dad.
G'day, mate.
Josh's dad might be giving him some drinks for Friday. What do you reckon?
Council of Gregs, what say ye?
Well, my parents gave me booze, so what if he makes an impulsive and life-altering decision? What does everyone else do?
Well, 87% of parents don't give their teens alcohol. Drinks for Ethan, yay or nay?
Nay. Did you just say nay?
The answer is nay.
Lower Lighting is a manufacturer of lighting products.
Our partnership with Dell started 14 years ago with our first computer.
Because of what we do, we require reliable machines and a good technology partner. Dell helps us change the lighting landscape in Australia.
Closing in on the halfway stage of this 90-kilometre second stage of the Santos Tour Down Under women's race, and so far not a breakaway at the moment. The bunch is all together. By the way, if you have a question about anything that you see or anything to do with women's cycling, you can use hashtag AskTDU, and we'll fire that question at Phil or Matt or Gracie or Scott McGrory. While you're watching the Santos Tour Down Under broadcast, just tweet our expert cycling commentators any question you like at hashtag AskTDU on Twitter. Go into the draw as a result of that for an overnight accommodation prize for 2 people at the Hilton Adelaide Beautiful Hotel. That includes your buffet breakfast and dinner for 2 in Cole Restaurant. It is valued at $599. So that's hashtag AskTDU on Twitter. Any question you like, and we'll get our team, Phil, Matt, Gracie, Scott, JT, whoever's the best to answer that question for you. So thanks to our friends at the Hilton in Adelaide, who are accommodating all of our riders right throughout the Santos Tour Down Under. And that's one of the things the riders love about it. They are not moving from point to point. They're in one base at the Hilton and they go in and out each day. That's what makes this such an enjoyable experience for the riders from around the world. Let's go back and rejoin your commentators now, Gracie Elvin and Matt Keenan.
The race is rapidly approaching Gamaraka and the first of the FX Queen of the Mountains points. This is a Category 2 climb and there are big points up on offer. The current leader of that classification, that is Gladys Verhulst. She got 3 points yesterday. It was a Category 4 climb. This time, first over the top gets 7 points, 5 for second place, 3 and 1 then for the minor placings. Gamaraka is well known to one of the assistant directors of the Santos Tour Down Under. It was here in 2018 that Nettie Edmondson was the winner of the stage. And Gamaraka derives from the Aboriginal word meaning watering hole, and water will be crucial today because the weather is warm. Onto the climb, Brodie Chapman in the Australian National Champions colours, sacrificing herself for the Trek Segafredo team leader, Amanda Spratt, who has looked good so far this season. Missy Stevens in the pink colours at the front. Behind her, it is another one of the Americans on that squad. It is Doble Hickok that sits behind her. A brilliant climber. She'll be looking for an opportunity to go on the attack. This climb, Gracie, could prove to be the launching point for the first serious breakaway of today's stage.
I do think so, Matt. It's a short climb, but it does peak out at 15%. So for any riders that know their gradients, you know how steep that can be.
Lisa Klein in trouble for Trek Segafredo. Riders being eliminated out the back door. Tempo being set by Chapman. And the Queen of the Mountains leader, that is Verhulst, who's trying to move up the inside. The challenge is coming is Claire once again, who was second over the top yesterday. It is the Brit, Claire Steels, it is, from the Israel team. Steels trying to steal the points over Verhulst. Well, we've got our answer for FDJ. They're allowing Verhulst to fight for the Queen of the Mountains jersey. She looked across the shoulder. She was hoping that the battle would let up with Steels, but it hasn't. Verhulst holds on though. She takes the points. She extends her lead in the race for the FX Queen of the Mountains jersey. And then the peloton, no big battle. Next across the line, that is Loretta Hanson, followed then by Ruby Roseman Gannon. I can almost feel the lactic acid in her legs from here.
It was a short climb, but it was steep, and they were going very fast over the top there. It's interesting, Matt, you did bring up earlier in this stage if you were wondering whether they would give Gladys Verhulst that freedom to keep going for those FX Queen of the Mountains points. She had to put in quite a big effort there with Claire Steels on her wheel, trying to claim those points for herself. She's going to have to take a few moments to recover from that effort, and I'm not sure if that is going to set her up very well for the final of this race. If Grace Brown needs that extra person riding with her in the last 20 kilometres as it gets really difficult. But they seem to have let her have that opportunity. They do want to keep that jersey for another day.
And the final climb today is Mount Lofty. That is a Category 1 climb. That one that they just went over, the Northeast Ridge, was Category 2. 7 points for the win at the top of that one, which puts Verhulst onto 10 points in the race for the FX Queen of the Mountains jersey. First over the top of Mount Lofty, gets 10 points outright. And there's a big climb to come tomorrow up Corkscrew, which is also a Category 1 climb. So for Verhulst to win that classification, it's still a really big battle in front of her. There she is, number 26. Peloton coming back together once again. A few riders dropped at the back of the peloton, returning. Here's a look at the battle, and it was a big one.
It was a big one. You can see the effort they're putting through the pedals. Their power would have been very high in those last few hundred metres. Gladys Verhulst looking very strong there in the FX Queen of the Mountain jersey. Claire Steels in the Israel Premier Tech jersey, trying to really claim those points too, but she just could not quite overcome. Loretta Hanson there on the front, riding for the Trek Segafredo team. She is one of the key riders looking after GC hopeful Amanda Spratt, just keeping control of the peloton.
For Human Powered Health, it was Henrietta Christie who was up towards the front, making sure that that team is riding at the head of the peloton. And normally, Gracie, with the pecking order, you have the leader's jersey, the ochre jersey, as it is in the Santos Tour Down Under. Your team has the responsibility by default to control the peloton if any breakaway forms. The good news for Human Powered Health, they haven't been called upon to do that yet today.
You're right, it is a bit of a responsibility when you have the leader's jersey to have some riders near or on the front. If there is a breakaway, you're kind of setting a pace, trying to control that. But in a race like this, there are some bigger favourites, such as the Grace Brown from the FDJ and the riders from Trek Segafredo.
We've redefined, redesigned and rebuilt it. Expect engineering excellence. Expect a serious command centre. Step up to the new Ultima Zero Turn from Cub Cadets. Drive it. We dare you.
Some of the players were finding Justin overbearing.
I think the way Tim had left the team was in a great way, where all the players could be themselves.
Poland's got 6 at the G!
Catch the KFC Big Bash League before it ends on February 4th. Feel it live. Tickets on sale now.
So excited to be yachting in Australia.
Get on board with a hot new crew.
Such a good looking crew. Honestly, no one's ugly.
New Below Deck Down Under starts Wednesday on 7 Bravo and 7 Plus.
Great to have you with us. Welcome back to stage 2 of the Santos Tour Down Under women's race. They are just hitting the halfway mark of today's stage, a 90-kilometre stage from Birdwood to this beautiful finish line in Uradla, and they are great pictures of seeing. Reminds you of some of the how good moments from this race. An Australian cyclist, Annette Edmondson, hung up her bike late last year, calling time on a successful 10 years of racing at the international level. Having been a multiple world champion on the track, the Adelaide local has also won 2 stages of her home race, the Santos Tour Down Under, including in the township of Gumaraka, a town we passed through on today's tough stage as well. Now, after a decade at the top, Nettie has her heart set on an exciting new venture, helping to direct her beloved hometown race, the Santos Tour Down Under, which has been a big part of her career on the bike. So she has taken up the role as an assistant race director, and that is another how good moment. Speaking of good moments, you'll be pretty happy if you win this. We've got a Cervelo bike to give away. It's valued at around $6,000. All you need to do is scan that barcode on your screen, follow the instructions, and you could be on a very flash new set of Cervelo wheels. Good luck. All right, as you can see, the race at the moment starting to warm up. We're inside the halfway mark. Temperature at the moment heading into the mid-30s. It's a warm day up through the Adelaide Hills. Uradla, a great finish line, and they have been climbing since they left Birdwood. Let's go back to our commentators now, Gracie Albin and Matt Keenan.
Just inside 45 kilometres remaining. It is Eugenie Duval who is on the front of the peloton for the FDJ Suez team. She's one of the teammates of Grace Brown. They've been through the first of the zip track intermediate sprints. Brown was second, Sanguinetti was first. But importantly, Brown picked up another 2-second time bonus. And Gracie Elvin, if you're the sports director for FDJ with Grace Brown, seeing that she's taken 5 seconds accumulated already ahead of her rivals, you'd be delighted with the current situation.
They're playing the game exactly how they want to. They know that Grace Brown is such a good climber and can definitely go head-to-head with the top climbers like Amanda Spratt and Brodie Chapman on tomorrow's final very hilly stage, but they want to make sure that they've got a few extra seconds up their sleeve.
The Gumaraka Hotel in Gumaraka, it derives from the Aboriginal word meaning watering hole. Perfect with the Gumaraka Hotel.
Well, what a watering hole that would be. I think a few riders are looking by some of these amazing pubs that they get to ride past in the hills thinking, oh, wouldn't mind stopping there, or stopping for an ice cream for that matter.
And there's a strong German influence in the area as well, particularly in Harndorf, which on a hot summer's day is a great escape from the heat in the hills with your family and friends. Harndorf is Australia's oldest surviving German settlement, just 30 minutes from the city. You can explore the German heritage, you can really see it in the buildings, you can taste it in the bakeries, and you can also taste it in the pubs. You can enjoy great food topped off with live music from street performers. It's one of the really popular spots just on the outskirts of the Adelaide city. Going well so far today for human-powered health. And your prediction, your forecast, or your recommendation, Gracie, for the race leader, Daria Pickerlook, was spot on. She didn't participate in the intermediate sprint. She's worried about Mount Lofty to come at the back end of the stage. Her strategy today should be pretty simple. Try and hold on.
That's right, Matt. She might not have that confidence that she can win this tour overall after the final stage, but you certainly want to hold on to the leader's jersey as long as possible. It is so special to be able to pull on a leader's jersey, especially that beautiful ochre jersey. And she wants to just retain it for one more day, so she is doing the right thing and saving that energy and not using it up on the intermediates.
I'm expecting she'll have some sentimental support from the race assistant director, Annette Edmondson, because Pickerlook was the bronze medalist in the Omnium at the UCI Track World Championships in 2020. And Nettie Edmondson, that's a world title that she has won in the past. Sanguinetti, number 16. What a job she did at the first of the intermediate sprints, trying to take some time away from Grace Brown. And now she's delivering drinks. She's the team's waiter.
That is good teamwork. You have to be able to fulfill lots of different roles in a team. And in cycling, they race more than 50 race days a year, sometimes up to 80 race days a year, and it's over so many different courses. So sometimes you get your opportunity to be the sprinter or the GC rider. Sometimes you're the domestique. Sometimes you have to do a bit of everything. But every time you have the opportunity to go back to the car to chat to your race director, you always grab a few bitters, making sure that your teammates are fully watered and fed.
Time to share it all around. The rider with the black helmet in the middle of the picture, that is Gina Ricciardo from Team Bridge Lane. She was fantastic yesterday in the long breakaway with Izzy Carnes.
She was fantastic, Matt. She was also trying to get into some of the earlier breakaways, and it's not surprising, is it? We always see her up the front of bike races, putting herself in the right move, sometimes being the initial attacker herself. She saw that moment when Izzy Carnes went at 33k to go yesterday, and she got straight on that wheel. They worked together so well.
There's Izzy Carnes right next to her. The earpiece has fallen out. She doesn't need much instruction. She's so intelligent, as she's shown in her performances at university.
Oh, she must be one of the smartest bike riders in this peloton. But, Matt, so many of these women have a top tertiary education. Izzy Carnes is an exceptional bike rider. She's got a bright future ahead of her. I think she also speaks French fluently, and her family is very much involved in cycling. Her older sister, Brooke, is coaching some of the junior track cyclists in their hometown club of Balmoral Cycling, and they're just so proud of Izzy out there today. They've been tweeting and Instagramming, and it's just great to see that local support there.
Inspiring the next generation when she's still just 18 years of age herself. The Australian national team coming up the left of the screen, up into the right-hand side of the road as they make their way towards the next major obstacle of today's stage. They're looking good with Nicole Frayne. Nicole Frayne is noted as the team leader on that squad. She performed well yesterday, 12th on the stage. For somebody that doesn't mark herself as a big sprinter, that was a good start to the race for Nicole Frayne. The Kiwis, they had a brilliant start yesterday. This is Prudence Flower. They've got the white jersey, the Zwift white jersey for the best young rider, Ali Wollaston. They'll be very pleased with how things are going.
What a great way to open up the week to have Ali Wollaston claiming the Schwalbe Classic Criterium race. It really sets you up to have that confidence. You're all a bit nervous when you haven't raced too much in the early parts of the season, not sure how your fitness was going in the pre-season training, and some of these national teams too, they're coming together as a composite team, so they don't really get to race together a lot sometimes. So it's about bonding really quickly, about having a team plan and being committed to it. Some different objectives and personalities that come together, track riders that are in these national teams as well. It gives them a chance though to get that conditioning in the legs, but if you get a win, that's a big bonus.
A winning team is a happy team. Some of them won't be too happy when they make their way up Mount Lofty, but if you're not riding a bike or not racing a bike, it is a wonderful place to go and visit. Mount Lofty, if you are looking to spoil yourself, the most famous spot in Adelaide to indulge is Mount Lofty House. The 5-star boutique hotel at the highest point of Adelaide provides a luxury day spa and a 3-hat fine dining experience. Gracie, this is where Novak Djokovic stayed last year whilst he was in Adelaide, and I can see why. I wonder if I go and stay there, my backhand will improve.
Maybe it's worth a try. Certainly every time I ride past, I'm just drooling at the grounds and all of the fancy cars that are always parked there. I can't wait to come back one day and try some of those beautiful meals that they have at the restaurant.
Sounds like a plan. 41 Ks remaining, still no breakaway having been formed. There were multiple attempts early before they got to the first of the Queen of the Mountains points and just prior to the first of the zip track intermediate sprints. But now that we're getting so close to the finish, Gracie, is there a sense within the peloton that an attempt to break away would be futile, so let's save ourselves for Mount Lofty?
Potentially. They're definitely looking at a bit of more of a conservative approach in the heat today with such a tough finale.
We've redefined, redesigned and rebuilt it. Expect engineering excellence. Expect a serious command centre. Step up to the new Ultima Zero Turn from Cub Cadets. Drive it. We dare you.
Some of the players were finding Justin overbearing.
I think the way Tim had left the team was in a great way, where all the players could be themselves.
Boland's got 6 at the G!
We all want a fairy tale ending. It's true. But saving for a deposit is like walking through glue. Great Southern Bank puts dreams into action with tools like the Vault and the Boost to get traction. You might be single or with a growing clan. Everyone's different. You just need a plan. The best dreams are filled with hope and with laughter. Great Southern Bank. Happily clever after.
What'd you pay?
The sold price.
The sold price?
Car Expert uses fancy sales data from your area so you know what others have paid for the car you want.
Nice.
It's free for a limited time.
The Santos Tour Down Under, the women's race, stage 2, and we are inside the final 40 kilometres now. Things about to heat up, and when I say heat up, I mean actually heat up. It is warming up in the mid-30s at the moment. Tough for riders out on the road, but for fans, well, it's not too bad here in Uraidla, which just happens to be one of our most picturesque Finnish towns. It is absolutely gorgeous and famous for its 2-storey pub, which is located right on the finish line. It is gorgeous. It is packed already, and surprise, surprise, that's where we find James Tobin.
Hydration, very important for the riders out there today, just as important for the fans. And what better place than the Uraidla Hotel right on the finish line. I'll tell you what, the police bike's looking a bit different this year, officer.
Yes, we've had a bit of a cutback in the force lately, a bit of taxation. So we'd like to have a bit of a spoke about that.
Very good. We'll let you keep going. Now, the great thing about the Santos Tour Down Under is that people travel from right around Australia and the world. This is the bunch from Scone in New South Wales, David.
In the beautiful Upper Hunter, yes.
How many years now?
I'm a rookie. This is my first year.
Welcome. What do you reckon?
I'm loving it.
Coming back next year?
For sure.
Well, let's start. David and Kim, how many for you?
11.
And you've had a bit of a connection with the family with the event.
We have. We've had two. Last year when it was an NOS race, we had 2 sons and a daughter-in-law. Then our other daughter-in-law has done the TDU a few years ago.
Brilliant. Incredible. And now a World Tour event. How much bigger does it feel this year?
Oh, it's very exciting. For the girls to get this much crowd draw, it's brilliant. Yeah. Absolutely brilliant.
Now, I'm very happy to see you're staying hydrated. We're above 30 degrees here in Uraidla today. What's the plan for the finish?
Well, we've got another 30-odd kilometres to go to get back to Adelaide, so we'll be pacing ourselves, to coin a phrase.
All right, well, I might join you. This is position A1 for the finish. I'm not going anywhere.
Cheers.
You can always count on James Tobin to find the best seat in the house, and most often that is in a pub. But it's a great place. That's part of the beauty of this event, is the magnificent vantage points. You can watch the race go by and watch the finish. And the great thing for those people who've come from all over the world and all over Australia with their bikes is they will ride out in the morning and ride back at the end of the day. But they'll also ride with some of these pro teams, because they'll do the same thing. They'll ride out to warm up and they'll ride home to cool down. So it is a unique experience, part of the magic of the Santos Tour Down Under, and that's why we love it so much. All right, let's go back and rejoin the racing as we hit the 38-kilometre mark. Things about to go off in the bunch. Here are Gracie Alban and Matt Keenan.
38 kilometres remaining. The peloton is all together. They are approaching Lobethal, heading towards the San Remo pasta feed zone. And it is the ZAF Racing team who is the next to launch an attack. And this is Silvestri, Deborah Silvestri. She was involved in the fall yesterday, Gracie. She came in 2 minutes and 2 seconds behind the rest of the peloton. This is a great bounce back by Silvestri.
It is. I think if you've had a bad day, you want to rectify it the following day. You want to get rid of that disappointment and make the mark on the race. She's taking that opportunity, that lull in the pace of the peloton, to jump away, and she's created a gap quite quickly, hasn't she?
She has. She'd love some company. Heavily bandaged. Luckily, the temperatures haven't hit their maximum as yet. It's still in the high 20s, which is still really warm, but it is heading towards 32, 33 degrees today. Even hotter tomorrow, 37 degrees. Great attitude to come back from the crash yesterday, and it was a crash at high speed towards the back end of the stage.
It is great to see this. She would have woken up so sore today. Some of those bandages telling the story of how hard she hit the road yesterday. She would have warmed up in the first half of this stage. She's starting to loosen up a bit now. She would have thought, I can see this as a good opportunity, a good moment. I'm going to try and see if I can get away. She needs a couple of people to jump across. It's much harder out there alone, but you can certainly settle into a nicer rhythm. She's just grabbing a drink bottle there. She caught that bottle very well. And this is a great feed zone because it's slightly uphill. I love it when the Swannies pick the slightly uphill part of the road because it just makes it a lot easier to try and grab a bit in.
20 seconds is the gap as she looks across the shoulder, and there's another crash involving a rider from Team Bridge Lane. Nicole Frayne also involved in the fall from the Australian national team. Emily Watts, I think it was Emily Watts. It is Emily Watts from Team Bridge Lane who has gone down. We're not exactly sure what happened, anticipating perhaps just the classic touch of wheels as they were approaching the feed zone. Frayne showing experience, staying calm. She's collected both water bottles off her bike. Here's a look at what happened. Nicole Frayne. It is a bizarre crash. And Emily Watts straight over the top. Nowhere to go for Watts. Some similarities to what we saw yesterday. She's on a spare bike. She's on a factor spare bike. Yesterday, the crash with Keely Bennett, she hit a pothole and went down heavily. Fortunately for Frayne, it was much slower as they were going uphill. Let's hope that they're both okay. And that was close to touching the car as well, Gracie.
It was. I think you just have to stay so calm after an incident like this. It's easy to get a bit panicked. Your adrenaline is up and you're having to make your way through the cars. You need to make your way back to the peloton quite quickly in case you don't make it back at all before the end of the stage. But you still just need to be making sure you've got your head up, making sure that you can see what the cars are doing around you. But that was an unfortunate accident. I really do hope that Emily Watts is okay. She didn't get up as quickly, but she was moving around, which is a good sign. But it's really unfortunate for Team Bridge Lane. They already lost one of their riders, Keely Bennett, yesterday.
Tempo on the peloton has significantly increased after making their way through the San Remo past the feed zone. Down at the back of the peloton, we saw the Australian national champion, Brodie Chapman, with a water bottle fall out of her musette, and the rider behind her having to make the deviation to make sure she didn't hit the bottle. That was Finkel's. Another attack off the front of the peloton. Silvestri had loved some company. It's a Kiwi who's going forward. The next major challenge for the day is 20 kilometres away, and that is the second of the Zip Track intermediate sprints at Summertown. And this is McMullen off the front. She had the problem with the race radio earlier on, and now Riley has no problems with her legs. She's riding well.
Riley McMullen is one of the top female riders in New Zealand. She's done very well on the road in the past. She's a bit of an all-rounder as well. She's quite good when it's hilly, so she's also seeing this good moment as an opportunity to go, well, there's already a rider up the road. That's more incentive for me to try and jump across. There'll be someone to work with, and maybe I'm going to be good enough on the climbs that then I could ride away. So you're using every opportunity like this as a launch pad to get yourself ahead of the peloton, get a bit of a head start going into this really tough finale today.
Gap has opened up quickly for Silvestri, the 24-year-old from Italy, bold enough to go out on the attack on her own. This is her 6th season riding at an international level. Solid result a couple of years ago in the Giro d'Italia, where she finished in 26th position overall, indicating that she has got good climbing capabilities. Most of her racing has been in Italy. Prior to joining the Spanish ZAF cycling team, she was part of the Top Girls Fassa Bortolo team for 3 seasons. One rider off the front, the peloton starting to heat up inside the last 34 Ks.
We've redefined, redesigned and rebuilt it. Expect more power. Expect the ultimate cut. Step up to the new Ultima Zero Turn from Cub Cadets. Drive it. We dare you.
Tim Payne and Justin Langer, both of them are gone.
Pat Cummins, 47th Test captain.
What's next for us? We want to be number 1 in the world.
It drops, it's twist, like grabbing onto a seat with a tornado. You get a drive, bump, the speed of lightning. And the curves. And it even has its own merchandise, but all wibbly and woggly. When you come out, you're never going to be the same. As great as it is pretending to be here, there's nothing better than the real thing. I'm Alexander, and I'm the world's biggest Luna Park fan. Just for fun!
This should be a stressful time for Kate and Hunter. They're expecting twins any day now, but right now they couldn't be calmer. Because when it came time to sell their home, they went to Local Agent Finder. Now with the right agent on board, it's smooth selling ahead.
Get back to school with Harvey Norman. Nokia C31 now $168. Save $70 on the Lenovo Tab M10 Plus with 2K display. Or save $100 on the amazing Samsung Galaxy Watch 5 Pro. See the experts now at Harvey Norman. Go!
Welcome back to the pointy end of the Santos Tour Down Under Stage 2 of the women's race. And there's your leader, Deborah Silvestri, the Italian, who has just been caught by Riley McMullen from New Zealand. That's McMullen just off the back, closing the gap at the moment. So they are your 2 leaders with 31.5 kilometres to go of this second stage. There are some great ways to watch this race, and it's one of the beautiful things about it. You can be anywhere along the side of the road and stop and enjoy the action. And this has got to be another how good moment. How good is this view of the race from what we call ute side, on the side of the road? The couple who have set up here in the back of the ute just to see the action go by. And I've got a feeling that ute is going to move on. They'll pull up a bit further up the road and watch it all go again. So just one of the many, many ways you can enjoy it. And the back of the ute can be a great spot to do it. All right, let's get you back to the action now and rejoin our commentators, Gracie Elvin and Matt Keenan.
The pink colours, EF, Lauren Stevens, she looks to have made the split. Second place finisher in this race in 2018. FDJ, that is Victoire Gilman, who's gone across. FDJ have been aggressive from the start. They like this situation. Gina Ricciardo from the break yesterday. Taylor Wiles, Lauren Stevens. Also there is Nina Bilsman. At the back of the group, Sophie Edwards in the move as well. That is Rachel Wales. Claire Steels is there, number 45. She sits in second position in the Queen of the Mountains classification. The Brit from Israel, Premier Tech, has shown that she packed her climbing legs for the Santos Tour Down Under.
This is a very dangerous group, Matt. There's some really good climbers in this group. Even a few dark horses that are trying to go high up in the GC standings. It's quite a large group represented by pretty much all of the top teams in this race. It's interesting to see what the peloton does behind, whether they are happy with the riders in this breakaway, or if teams such as Trek Segafredo and Jayco Alula think that this is not exactly the situation that they want.
Dario Pikuluk, the fifth place finisher in the road race for the European Continental Championships last year. She's the race leader, number 32. It puts it into context, that stat, Gracie, of how much of an underdog victory it was yesterday, and why she said afterwards, I'm just a Polish rider with a dream. She's more than just a Polish rider. She's a brilliant Polish rider fulfilling those dreams.
We haven't seen too much of her on the road. She's done well at the European Championships and some of the smaller 1.1 level races across Europe, but she's certainly made her mark on the Women's World Tour in 2023. We'll be watching her racing throughout some of the European season, but she's certainly trying to hold her own here, keeping her contact on that ochre jersey for as long as possible.
From this leading group of 10 riders, there are 3 riders that are within 10 seconds of the leader's jersey, who we just spoke about. Pikuluk, the winner of the stage yesterday. Claire Steels is at 10 seconds behind. Lauren Stevens is 10 seconds behind. So too is Riley McMullen. They were all in the group of 30 yesterday. The only time gap is courtesy of the time bonus for yesterday's stage victory. And good news, Emily Watts is back up and going, and she is in action. Team Bridge Lane rider has returned to the peloton. Her teammate, Gina Ricciardo, is in the breakaway. I'm very pleased to hear that update.
I'm very pleased to hear that update as well. We're big fans of Emily Watts. She was a stage winner at the Santos Festival of Cycling last year. She is such a talent. She can climb, but she can sprint as well. So we want to see her staying on her bike in this tour, making the most of it. But this group of 11 is a dangerous group. I think the peloton are not happy with the situation. It looks like Trek Segafredo are on the front driving, and I could see Amanda Spratt there just tagging onto the back of this group, making sure that she's in contact. Lauren Stevens is the biggest threat in that group of 11 up the road.
Noskova from Zaf Racing is the next to open up the throttle. Loretta Hansen is chasing. Rightly so, the peloton, they're taking this breakaway group of 10 seriously. And the race from here through to the finish, sure, there's just one classified climb, but it's a lot tougher than that. There's barely a flat stretch of road. It's either up or it's down. It's twisting, and the roads are heavy. At the back of the race, life is getting tough. This is Kerry Yonka. It can be a blessing or it can be a curse knowing the roads. Sometimes it's better not to know and hope and hold on and think that there might be some reprieve around the corner. But if you know how tough it's about to get, it can be demoralising.
That's right, Matt. Cycling is much a mental game as it is a physical game, so it's great to do some course recon, but if you know what's coming up for you and you're not exactly the strongest on the climbs, it can be quite demoralising thinking that you're already getting dropped when there's so much climbing to go. But this is quite a large group that's trying to get across to those leaders. Loretta Hansen doing a fantastic job there for Trek Segafredo, trying to put Amanda Spratt back into contention. I could see Grace Brown also in the group. All of the favourites are all close together. They're all marking each other. They don't want to miss out. But the group of 11 out in front, they're working together pretty well. I think they're seeing this as a golden opportunity.
Roughly a 25-second gap for the leading group of 11 riders. Amber Pate in the group. So too in this group, Eugenie Duval from FDJ. We rejoin the leaders. 28 kilometres remaining and the race is blowing apart.
We've redefined, redesigned and rebuilt it. Expect engineering excellence. Expect a serious command centre. Step up to the new Ultima Zero Turn from Cub Cadets. Drive it. We dare you.
Tim Payne and Justin Langer, both of them are gone.
Pat Cummins, 47th Test captain.
What's next for us? We want to be number one in the world.
It drops, it twists, like grabbing onto a seat with a tornado. You get a drive, bump, the speed of lightning, and the curves. And it even has its own merchandise, but all wibbly and wobbly. When you come out, you're never gonna be the same. As great as it is pretending to be here, there's nothing better than the real thing. I'm Alexander, and I'm the world's biggest Luna Park fan. Just for fun!
Accident wasn't your fault.
Yes, it was! None of this would have happened if I had just been on time.
The brake lines were cut deliberately.
Well, who would want to hurt Felicity and Eden?
That's a good question. They weren't the targets. I was. It was supposed to be me driving the ute. I'm gonna find them. And I'm going to make them pay for what they've done. Was it you?
It's really unfair that your sister and Eden ended up hurt. What did they do to deserve that?
We're done here.
Don't tell me you're giving up so soon.
I'm only just getting started, mate.
Home and Away on 7 and 7+.
Hey, Dad.
G'day, mate.
Josh's dad might be giving him some drinks for Friday. What do you reckon?
Council of Gregs, what say ye?
Well, my parents gave me booze, so...
What if he makes an impulsive and life-altering decision?
What does everyone else do? Well, 87% of parents don't give their teens alcohol.
Drinks for Ethan, yay or nay?
Nay. Did you just say nay?
The answer is nay.
26 kilometres remain. Leading group of 11. For the Jaco Alula team, Georgie Howe in this group. Looks like she might be getting the instructions not to continue to drive the breakaway. She's at 33 seconds down in the general classification, and there are 3 riders in this group just 10 seconds off the pace. Not the ideal situation for Jaco Alula.
No, Matt, it is not the ideal situation. There's a couple of objectives happening here in the breakaway of 11. A few of these riders are happy to put everything into it to try and make it stick, to try and get the stage win. And then there's a few other riders, such as Taylor Wiles and Georgie Howe, that are there. They've placed themselves, they've planted themselves is a better term, to put them in that move, so then some of their team leaders have an opportunity to jump across as the stage gets really tough through the climb through Summertown going up to Mount Lofty, and they'll have an extra man there in the break for that finale of the stage.
We saw Daria Pikoluk, the race leader in the ochre jersey, sitting comfortably towards the front of the peloton. She's not super concerned, at this point at least, about the situation of the breakaway. She has her teammate, number 36, in the leading group. That's Nina Billisman. Coming across for Trek Segafredo, or attempting to. This is Lisa Klein. Reaction coming from behind. Lily Williams is the next in line, followed then by Jessica Allen. The pink colours once again of EF. Importantly for them, they have Lauren Stevens in the leading group. That looks very much like the climbing figure of Krista Doble-Hickok, who is trying to respond. And indeed it is number 53. The gap continues to grow. It's out to 35 seconds. This is Sophie Edwards from ARA Skip Capital. What a brilliant day they had yesterday. She's got a teammate with her. This is Rachel Wales, the next one to come through. And Gracie, Nina Billisman is sitting at the back of the group. She's a teammate of the race leader. She gets the right to play police officer in this group and just be a passenger at the back.
That's right. Some of the riders in the breakaway, they'll be calling her to roll through, but she has all rights to say, look, I don't have to pull any turns here. My race leader wearing the ochre jersey is back in the peloton. I'm just here to police this breakaway, just in case she can jump across and I can help her in the final parts of this stage. But it's really just about that representation. In some ways, she's a bit of an anchor. As soon as someone starts sitting on a breakaway, it encourages other riders to go, oh, maybe I don't want to put in as much effort either, or maybe I'll skip a few turns. And then suddenly the breakaway doesn't work together as well anymore. And that's another reason why they can be pulled back much easier by the peloton.
Trek Segafredo, the team that have taken up the chase, they are 10 kilometres away from the Zip Track Intermediate Sprint in Summertown. They have a rider in the breakaway. I'm of the view that it could be to their interests not to collect them before the sprint, as we see the next attack from the breakaway. Claire Steels, who's been active at all of the Queen of the Mountains points, is the one to go on the attack. Not happy with the composition, not happy with how they're working. She wants even bigger time.
She wants to steal this stage by the look of it, Matt. I think she thinks that she has got some good climbing legs in this tour. She's thinking, this breakaway isn't riding as fast as I'd like it to. There's a few riders here that are being those anchors that are just not pulling turns as much as I like. She's taking her opportunity to go, I can ride faster than all of you, so I'm just going to go off the front.
What a beautiful region, the Adelaide Hills, renowned for its wine. And this backdrop tells a big part of the story. The Adelaide Hills, lying to the east of Adelaide, is the wine region of Adelaide. It is magnificent, home to more than 50 cellar door winemakers, craft delicious combinations of red and white wines. It's worth coming to have a try and test it for yourself. The architecture of some of these wineries is as spectacular as the wine itself. You can enjoy a cheese plate whilst going with those local wines. And Gracie, the first case of wine was sent back to Queen Victoria in 1843, and the region continues to excel producing and exporting great Australian wines. About to make the left-hand turn onto Deviation Road, famous for the basket range wines. The breakaway chasing somebody that decided to break away from them. Jacob Alula, this is Georgie Howe chasing down Claire Steels.
We've redefined, redesigned and rebuilt it. Expect more power. Expect the ultimate cut. Step up to the new Ultima Zero Turn from Cub Cadets. Drive it. We dare you.
Hi, my name's Alexander and I'm the world's biggest Luna Park fan. Just for fun!
This may be the most stressful time in Don's life. He's having an open house today. Meanwhile, his pet snake Monty is missing, and it's feeding time. But right now, he couldn't be calmer, because when it came time to sell his home, he went to Local Agent Finder, comparing fees, sale histories, and reviews online for free. Now with the right agent on board, it's all smooth selling ahead. Search Local Agent Finder and join thousands of happy home sellers.
So excited to be yachting in Australia.
Get on board with a hot new crew.
Such a good looking crew. Honestly, no one's ugly.
New Below Deck Down Under starts Wednesday on 7 Bravo and 7 Plus.
It's 2 of the Santos Tour Down Under women's race, and it is all happening, it's fair to say. At the moment, the ochre jersey, the race leader, Daria Pikalik, is off the back of the peloton. Meanwhile, up the other end of the peloton, there's been a bit of shuffling and changing too. A breakaway has been caught by the bunch, and our leader at the moment out in front is rider number 45, Claire Steels from Great Britain. So she is out in front of the peloton at the moment, but the jerseys are undone, the wind is flowing through, they're trying to cool down, and they are on the chase. So let's rejoin your commentators right now, Gracie Elbin and Matt Keenan.
22.3 kilometres to go, and we get the distinct impression that it's going to be all guns blazing from here all the way through to the finish in Uradla, and it is a difficult approach to the finish. They get one look at the finish line, Gracie Elvin, but they do it the opposite way around. Not quite the perfect dress rehearsal, but it will give them a better understanding as to what the last kilometre or so is like.
That's right, Matt. Coming through a finish line in the opposite direction gives you a little bit of an idea of what you're up for, but they'll be flying down because it's a bit of an uphill finish. So they'll come through very quickly before they hit the slopes that head towards Summertown up to the height of Lofty. It's really tough racing coming up, but it's already splitting up so much. There was a big question mark around whether this stage was a sprint stage or a climber stage, but I think we've got our answer, and it's not being ridden conservatively at all in this last part of the race.
Claire Stills, she wouldn't quite understand the meaning of conservative. She's renowned for being aggressive. In the Tour de Ardèche last year, she picked up 4th place in the Queen of the Mountains classification. She was second on stage 5, and she achieved those results through aggressive racing, and she's picking up again in 2023 with the same attitude. 22 seconds is her gap. And the pink colours, EF Education, going on the attack. They didn't like the terrain so much yesterday. They like it a lot more today. This is Abby Smith. She'll know Claire Steele well, both from Great Britain, similar age. She's chasing her compatriot. They'll be enjoying the trees as much as possible. Some shade to try and take a little bit of sting out of the sun.
Any shade is welcome on a hot stage like today, but it's like tunnel vision in these small winding roads in the hills of Adelaide. They're putting a very high pace now. They're really trying to make sure that this race becomes an aggressive finale. It's really setting them up into the final zip track sprint of the day. But it's the climb that's going to blow it all to pieces, good and proper. But the bunch is still already all over the road.
Georgie Howe again for the Jacob Alula team, marking all the moves, being one of the protagonists to create the moves. That team has had 2 of their riders be dropped. We saw Jessica Allen and Georgia Baker get distance, but they still have Howe, quite obviously, along with Ruby Roseman Gannon and Alex Manley. I've spotted them towards the front, and I think Amber Pate will still be in contact.
It does look like Jaco Alula have those 3 riders there in this main group, in Pate, Manley and Roseman Gannon. So Amber Pate will be the one that you can see near the front of this group. She's just making sure she's doing everything she can to support her team leaders in Roseman Gannon and Manley. But Georgie Howe, she's having a fantastic day out there, getting into the breakaways, being part of that aggressive racing style that we're seeing from the Trek Segafredo team and the FDJ Suez team. This looks so tough out there, Matt. I'm not as jealous today as I was yesterday.
They go past the banner indicating 20 kilometres to go, and the ochre jersey, the race leader, yesterday's stage winner, Daria Pikaluk, is yet to rejoin the peloton. And Gracie, to be honest, if she does, the chances of surviving over Mount Lofty are really slim. A call back to the team car for Claire Steeles. There's been plenty to like about the way she's ridden for the past 2 days.
Claire Steeles is really showing us what she's made of this year, especially in the climbs. She's one of the older riders of the peloton. She's 36 years old. As you said, she's actually done quite well in some of the tougher, hillier races in Europe, but never getting a podium at a World Tour level. So she's taking her opportunity today to get through these tough roads, trying to stay away. Riding as a solo rider is pretty difficult, but she looks pretty comfortable out there.
Claire Steeles is charging along through the roads of South Australia, a part of the country that is renowned for its many festivals. In fact, South Australia is the festival state. Throughout the whole year, there's always something on offer. Where do we start? There's the world's best music festival called WOMAD, the Adelaide International Tennis Tournament, which has just finished, the supercars through the streets of Adelaide, the World Solar Challenge, as well as world-class music concerts, golf, Australian rules football, and the annual Christmas pageant. There's always something on offer for the locals to visit and for visitors to come and enjoy what's on offer in addition to those festivals. We've seen plenty of the wineries and the bike race, the Santos Tour Down Under, that's one of the biggest. Team Bridge Lane now on the front. This is Mia Haddon who's going to the front of the peloton for that squad. And have fingers crossed that Emily Watts gets through today okay and can start again tomorrow. The pink jerseys, EF, looking for each other within the peloton. They're about to launch another attack. You saw the nod of the head. Follow me. Let's go. Georgie Howe sees it coming, responds quickly. That attack, Gracie, was telegraphed.
It was. It's difficult too. Georgie Howe missing the feed there because she was having to cover that move. But I don't think they're worrying too much about taking drinks now because the pace is so high. They're just focusing on the race ahead. Georgie Howe is doing a fantastic job out there today.
And what we saw from her yesterday, particularly in the crosswind and the approach to the finish line, if we're giving out 3, 2 and 1 votes for the best teammate of the race so far, 3 votes, Georgie Howe, 4 votes, the Vineyards. Different category of their own. Brodie Chapman from the Trek Segafredo team. Different jersey of the rest of her teammates. She gets the distinction of wearing the green and gold all season long. She's the Australian National Road Champion. And she got the bronze medal in the individual time trial. Talking tactics, it's a clear one today from Trek Segafredo, and it can be summarised in one word: aggressive. Their strategy today, Gracie Elvin, is make the race as tough as possible, reduce the size of the bunch, give their team leader Amanda Spratt the opportunity to go on the attack, take the stage victory and take the ochre jersey. Make it hard was the message all morning long.
And hard it has been. There's been a lot of riders struggling in the back of this peloton. It has been whittled down already, but we're going to see some fireworks coming up after they go through the second zip track intermediate sprint. Matt, I think they're underrating that solo rider out on the road, Claire Steels. She's got a very good engine. She was one of the top world-class duathlon athletes, and she's made the jump across to cycling. So maybe some of these riders are thinking, we'll pull her back eventually, but she could stay out there all day.
At the rate she's going to be difficult to collect, and hats off to yesterday's stage winner. The ochre jersey, Pickalook, is back in the peloton. Solid performance. 2 kilometres from the intermediate sprint. This is a look at the finish line, the opposite direction. Huge crowd on the side of the road. And with how quickly we're seeing Steels descend down through here, it's an opposite story the next time around. And that corner there, they'll be coming in through there, a right-hand turn, and up to the finish line next time through. The beautiful town of Uradla. What a spot. 26 seconds is the gap. We had the privilege, Gracie, of getting here a couple of hours before the broadcast got underway. A walk along the street, enjoy the cafes, have a small bite to eat, and it's just 30 minutes from the heart of Adelaide. Football ground, tennis courts, netball, bowling green, pub, cafe. What more do you want?
I can attest, I've been to the Uradla pub and it is very good, but I'm loving all the sunflowers. They've made this a very beautiful town today. Definitely one of the best dressed towns in the Santos Tour Down Under.
Summertown is the next destination. 1 kilometre away for the intermediate sprint. The bad news for Claire Steels, they're clearing out the vehicles between the gap because it's closing down, courtesy of the aggression coming from EF Education. But 45 seconds, she should hold on to get the 3-second time bonus and the 3 points in the race for the Zip Track blue jersey. Not sure that's 45 seconds. The gap is smaller than that, surely. It was 26 seconds through the finish line.
There's Jaco Alula then on the front, trying to drag back this EF Education rider. Looks like Georgie Howe again. She's just been a motor today for the Jaco Alula team, doing a great job for her teammates in Alex Manley, who you can just see there on the left of that smaller bunch.
And Can Grace Brown get more time bonuses? Almost there for the time bonus. Green Hill Road, Summertown, the destination for the second and final zip track intermediate sprint today. And you know it's a tough one when you're up out of the saddle in a climbing position. Pan back to look for the gap between Steeles and the chase. Once again, it is Abigail Smith from EF. Peeling a really nice high cadence. This is good riding by Claire Steeles.
She looks very comfortable out there with a big engine coming from a running and swimming background. She's taken the step across to cycling, showing us that she has got some serious abilities on the climbs. She's been riding at a really steady pace, but she must be putting out a ton of watts out there.
Sprint 100 metres. The finish line is 100 metres, and this is no sprint. It's too hard for it to be a sprint. This is nearly as difficult as yesterday's Queen of the Mountains point. Claire Steeles picks up 3 points in the race for the zip track points classification. She gets a 3-second time bonus as well in the general classification. And next across the line, it was Manley, followed by Brown, and then Spratt. So importantly, for number 21, Grace Brown, another 1 second time bonus puts her 6 seconds ahead of Amanda Spratt, her big rival.
Another great ride by Grace Brown, just collecting another bonus second in her campaign for the overall general classification. Amanda Spratt would have been frustrated just to miss out on that last bonus second. Alex Manley claiming 2 bonus seconds. It's really tough to have an uphill sprint right at the start of the final climb of the day. It really puts you in the red when you have to be able to handle the next few kilometres coming up as well.
And this is the start of the climb up the backside of Mount Lofty. From here until 10 kilometres to go, it is all uphill. This is opportunity time for the climbers.
This is a big opportunity. They could have used that launch pad from the intermediate sprint. Looks like Loretta Hanson again on the front for Trek Segafredo. She's making it really difficult for the bunch behind. They are very close to catching Claire Steeles now. I think that we're going to see quite a few attacks going. The peloton, though, being drawn back together. They're not happy with that group that are trying to get away.
Steeles, no retreat, no surrender. She's not waiting for anybody. You'll have to go across and get it for yourself. Trek Segafredo, Gracie doing everything they can to make the race tough, and they attack once again, and it is the national champion Brodie Chapman who goes. Georgie Howe marking everything. Kiwi climber also coming across.
The new Ultima ZTS, now with steering wheel. Expect performance, ultimate control, ultimate stability. Steer it to believe it. The new Ultima ZTS from Cub Cadet.
Some of the players were finding Justin overbearing.
I think the way Tim had left the team was in a great way, where all the players could be themselves.
Hi, my name's Alexander and I'm the world's biggest Luna Park fan. Just for fun!
Catch the KFC Big Bash League before it ends on February 4th. Feel it live. Tickets on sale now.
Welcome back with just over 12 kilometres to go in the stage 2 of the Santos Tour Down Under women's race, and things are hotting up. The last big climb underway at the moment. While we've got a moment, let's catch up with James Tobin, who always finds the best spots to watch this race from.
The age-old cycling tradition of messages of support on the road is alive and well here at the Santos Tour Down Under. We're at the top of Mount Lofty, and we've got the sign here. Some love for Emily Watts, one of the Bridge Lane riders. Liam, Kate, we've got some cars coming down as well. They might need to get off the road. Friends?
Friends from Sydney, yeah. We ride together a little bit up in Sydney, and we said we'd come down, show some love, show some support, maybe embarrass her a bit.
Well, plenty of love. The Bridge Lane girls are doing very well, aren't they?
Yeah, they're doing amazing, especially in a World Tour race, just a Conti team, but we're really proud of them.
Well, we cannot wait. The riders are not far from Mount Lofty. We will be cheering on Emily Watts.
It hasn't been the easiest day for Em. She had a fall early on, but we know that she's back on the bike and she's working her way back in through that bunch at the moment. Let's go and rejoin the action live now as we get set for this Queen of the Mountain finish, the last big climb before we get to our finish line in Uradla. Let's go back to our two commentators.
Chapman, the Australian champion, on the front as they charge towards the top of Mount Lofty. The highest point in Adelaide at almost 700 metres in altitude. The climb is classified as 6.1 kilometres long. They've got 1.2 k's to go, and that's the toughest part. Over the top, and they descend back down towards the finish line in Uradla, and it is a tight right-hand corner just before they see the finish itself. 1k to the top. Will the attacks come from Amanda Spratt? She's about to make the move. Here she goes. Spratt attacks. Manley it is who's trying to go with her. The question is now being asked of Grace Brown. There's no more teammates for help. This is a one-on-one battle.
This is exactly the move that we were anticipating. Spratty attacking on the steepest part of that climb. That road kicks up. The camera doesn't do it justice. She's been able to create a really great gap. Alexandra Manley doing a really good job, but just not able to get quite on her wheel. It flattens off a little bit now, so Spratty has to maintain that momentum to maintain that gap. But Grace Brown is also making sure that she does not miss this opportunity for these three riders to try and work together and stay away. But those gaps have just blown out, Matt.
The tougher it is, the better it is for Spratt. It's the Spratt attack of old. She's back towards her very best. She's been a silver medalist and a bronze medalist at the World Championships on the road. It's been a difficult 2 seasons. She's into a new team and she's back in familiar territory. She's at the front of the Santos Tour Down Under. Almost at the top of the climb for Spratt. She'll know the descent. She'll know what's required. Once she's over the top, it's time to take some risks. And the locals love her, and rightly so. She'll be picking up points in the race for the FX Queen of the Mountains jersey, but that's not the one she's hunting. She's after the ochre jersey. The 3-time winner wants to be the first winner of the Santos Tour Down Under as a World Tour event. Over the top of Mount Lofty, 10 kilometres to the finish line. It was a brief look across the shoulder. Spratt has put her cards on the table.
Spratty wanted to draw out a number of riders, but I think she would actually prefer to be alone. This is a great position for her to be in. She's got the fast legs at the moment to win from a small group sprint, but being alone, Matt, that is one of the best ways to win a bike race. She's in top form. She performed very well at the Bakerids and the Nationals, taking that bronze medal in the road race. We're seeing the best of Spratty back after a tough couple of years. I think she's back and better than ever.
Will the Grimace turn to a smile with a stage victory? It's not over yet. The gap, 15 seconds to Grace Brown. Then it's the peloton. And Grace Brown, silver medalist at the World Championships in the individual time trial. If anybody's got the motor to close it down, it's Brown. And here goes a move from one of the teammates of Grace Brown, trying to go across. This is Eugenie Duval looking to get across to Brown to provide support. Rachel Nayland responding from Team Australia.
This is a good climb suited to Rachel Naylor, but she just missed that initial move from Amanda Spratt. Grace Brown needs to just keep the pressure on. Her teammate is trying to jump across to help. I don't know if that was the right decision to make because she's got other riders from that group straight on her wheel, and it just keeps that momentum going in the peloton. Grace has that amazing time trial ability, so if she's out there alone, she could have tried to bridge across to Spratty, but Spratty is just powering away. There's a small group here that are forming. They've got Spratty in their sights.
It's 2-on-1. It could be 3 shortly because Alex Manley is not giving up the fight. She's bridging across to the 2 riders from FDJ. ...85 kilometres per hour on the descent. It's not for the faint-hearted at the Santos Tour Down Under.
The new Ultima ZTS, now with steering wheel. Expect performance, ultimate control, ultimate stability. Steer it to believe it. The new Ultima ZTS from Cub Cadet.
Tim Payne and Justin Langer, both of them are gone.
Pat Cummins, 47th Test captain.
What's next for us? We want to be number 1 in the world.
Hi, my name's Alexander and I'm the world's biggest Luna Park fan. Just for fun!
The accident wasn't your fault.
Yes, it was. None of this would have happened if I had just been on time.
The brake lines were cut deliberately.
Well, who would want to hurt Felicity and Eden?
That's a good question. They weren't the targets. I was. It was supposed to be me driving the ute. I'm going to find them. And I'm going to make them pay for what they've done. Was it you?
It's really unfair that your sister and Eden ended up hurt. What did they do to deserve that?
We're done here.
Don't tell me you're giving up so soon.
I'm only just getting started, mate.
Home and away on 7 and 7 Plus.
The situation is simple. It's 5.6 kilometres to go. 18 seconds the advantage. It's Spratt on her own with the group being led behind by FDJ, the teammates of Grace Brown. 4 of them in the group. They're chasing. The numerical advantage with the chasers. The inspiration with the leader, Danny Di Francesco, number 81, getting some encouragement from her teammate, Noskova. 13 seconds. It's coming down ever so slightly for Sprats. It's a rapid run to the finish line, though, Gracie Elvin.
It is a rapid run to the finish line. This group has very much looked to the FDJ Suez team to take full responsibility for this chase. They do have that numerical advantage, but even if they didn't, they have one of the other race favourites in Grace Brown. She really wants to take the overall win at this year's tour, and so her teammates need to do everything they can to make this gap as small as possible, even if they can't bring it back. They want to make sure that Spratty doesn't have a huge head start for tomorrow's stage that finishes just behind after going up the corkscrew and down into Campbelltown. But this is a fantastic performance by Amanda Spratt, catching everyone off guard. Everyone was in the red going up to Mount Lofty, and she made the most of her good form to get away.
15 seconds is the gap. Spratt knows the roads well. 4 kilometres remaining. She's done plenty of racing as a junior on the velodrome. It's just 16 laps around an Olympic velodrome. For Spratt, this 4Ks could be as quick as 4 minutes.
She's really setting a good pace there. She went really deep up that climb, up to the top of Mount Lofty, attacking on the steepest part of that peloton. She's leaning into those vast corners. These roads, some of it's hot mix, some of it's not, but she knows how to ride a bike, that's for sure. The FDJ riders, they just need a bit more manpower out there. They're not bringing back this gap quick enough. Rachel Nayland here at the back of the group riding for the national team. Just not liking those corners as much as Spratty is, that's for sure.
Amanda Spratt, she started the day in 8th position overall, 10 seconds down. From the chasing group, the best placed rider overall, Grace Brown, who started the day 3 seconds in front of Amanda Spratt, but she has picked up another 3 seconds worth of time bonuses. So prior to the breakaway by Spratt, she's 6 seconds behind the virtual race leader, Grace Brown. She has 3 kilometres remaining. She's making the most of it. She'd love it to still be uphill. Potentially then the gap would be even bigger. There's the 3 kilometre marker for the chasers. It's still hovering at around about 15 seconds. There's no out of sight, out of mind. They can see their prey.
They can see Spratty. They're really doing everything they can to hunt her down. There needs to be some other support here to FDJ in this chase. EF Education in those pink colours. They are in the front as well, but they haven't really put much of a turn through to get this chase going. I also think that Jayco Alula need to get a bit more organised. That's really difficult when you've got 2 team leaders there in Manly and Roseman Gannon. Neither of them want to go on the front and be part of this chase. Spratty has done an amazing job, but it's also big thanks to her Trek Segafredo teammates that set her up for this move. They don't have Trek Segafredo in that group behind, so it's up to Spratty to stay out there on the road to make the most of all the hard work that they did today to set her up into that position.
Through Piccadilly Valley, under the shadows of the towering Mount Lofty, and it is the enormous power of Amanda Spratt who is holding off the chasing group. FDJ, they can't find any friends at this point within the group, but now that they can see Spratt, now that the gap is closing down, 2 kilometres remaining, they might find some friends who think they're in with a chance to win the stage.
We might also see some attacks coming from this group. They don't want to be part of the chase. They want to try and jump across to Spratty, even go past her. So I'm looking at even someone like Rachel Nayland from the Australian national team to take her moment to try and jump across to this group. Even Grace Brown, who's had a moment of respite because her teammates have been working hard on the front, thinking, okay, we're not going to bring this back as a group. I need to do this myself out there alone.
I'd love to know now what is going through the mind of Amanda Spratt. 1.7 kilometres. She put the cards on the table. She was the strongest on the climb, but the numbers with the chase through to the finish line in Uradla are working against her. Uradla, the destination, 1,500 metres. It's a grimace for Spratt. Uphill's better for her.
Uphill is better for her. She's having a look over her shoulder, seeing what that distance is. It's shortened in this view, but she's still got a good enough gap. She just needs to keep committing to this breakaway that she's formed. There is an attack going now. It does look like Rachel Nayland from the Australian national team.
It is Nayland, who just like Spratt has picked up a silver medal in the road race at the World Championships. For Nayland, that was in the Netherlands 11 years ago. She's in her final season in the pro peloton and she's going out with a bang.
I'm looking for the counter attack now. They've easily jumped on the wheel of Rachel Nayland. It is, looks like Alex Manley maybe going from the Jayco Alula team.
They've got 2 riders in the group. The other one is Ruby Roseman Gannon, and it is Ruby who is rampaging with 1 kilometre remaining. A tight right-hand turn, and they'll see the finish line after that with 150 metres to go, and it is uphill.
And it is Grace Brown now doing the work, making sure Alex Manley doesn't get away from her. Grace Brown's FDJ teammates have done a ton of work, but just not able to bring back Amanda Spratt. Grace Brown now having to do a lot of work. She's going to be vulnerable to more attacks. That was a really strong move by Roseman Gannon, but not quite getting across to Spratty, but they're so close.
And now the pink colours of EF, the next move to go. Abigail Smith moves forward. She's got a teammate still with her. Slotting in behind her is Georgia Williams, is it?
It does look like Georgia Williams, but Alex Manley in the Jayco Alula colours is putting herself in the best position. Danny DiFrancesco on the left, also getting ready for the sprint.
Manley moves up towards the front for Jayco Alula. She's got Williams behind her. DiFrancesco is the next in line. It's an uphill sprint through to the finish line. Manley leads out. She's got a small gap. It's Williams in second. DiFrancesco is not surrendering. Williams is charging at Manley, but it's too late. It's Alex the Great. Manley was magnificent. She gets the win, and with the time bonuses, she should be in the race lead. The ochre jersey awaits.
What a fantastic and thrilling finale. That attack by Amanda Spratt looked like it was going to go the distance, but they were aggressive in that final few kilometres. Alex Manley putting herself in the perfect position. I just noticed a big smile from Georgia Williams wearing that pink EF education kit. She was in second. That's a big result for Georgia. She's usually the workhorse of her team. She is one of Alex's old teammates. They're actually also best friends, so they're going to be super happy for each other. I'm very happy that Alex Manley claimed the win today. These are some of her home roads, and she rode that perfectly.
Celebrating now with Ruby Roseman Gannon, the two riders from Jayco Alula who survived in a very select group. This is the race to minimise the damage. The remnants of the peloton will be coming in for quite a while. Brodie Chapman in this group. She did a lot of work today in support of Amanda Spratt. The white jersey for the best young rider, the Zwift white jersey, that's Ellie Wollaston, who is in this group, sprinting to minimise the time losses. Amber Pate is also in the group, and they concede 1:38. Wollaston leads them across the line. And it's going to be challenging to see who moves into that white jersey for the best young rider classification. Henrietta Christie was in that leading group. So too was Abby Smith, both eligible for that classification. Both starting the day at 16 seconds. Let's now get down to Scott McGrory with the race winner.
Well, what a fantastic stage we saw here today. Very hectic towards the finish, but what a brilliant job by you, Alex Manley. Congratulations. You're still exhausted, but you did so well.
Yeah, thanks so much. I mean, I was set up absolutely perfectly by the team all day. They rode the front, looked after me, and then coming to the final, Ruby attacked across and bridged the gap to Spratty and had a gap which forced Grace to work. It was just the perfect lead out, and yeah, I'm just so thankful, and to do this in my backyard is just so nice.
Well, let's just talk about that attack from Amanda Spratt. Former teammate of yours, that was dangerous. You almost took it all the way.
Yeah, for sure. I knew that part of the road is always painful, even when you're just going on a training ride. So I just tried to make sure I was having momentum, and of course Freddie was going to take the opportunity to attack, but I just tried to go, but I don't quite have the same legs as Freddie on a climb. So just kind of me being there forces the others to chase a bit, and then eventually I knew the descent, so could try and bridge back some time there.
Well, we've just got Georgia Howe coming in now as well, so celebrations all round for the Jayco Alula team. Brilliant job by the entire team. And let's see if they can do it tomorrow. Back to you, Maddie, and also to Gracie.
Thanks, Scott. It's going to take a while to break up that party amongst the Jayco Alula riders. And Scott McGrory loves it when he sees a track rider win. He's got 2 in a row. Can he get a third? Can she do it again tomorrow and back up and hold on to the ochre jersey?
Well, this stage win today is going to give her that confidence she needs going into tomorrow's very tough finale, going up the corkscrew. I'm thrilled to see Alex Manley take the win today. She's becoming one of the world's best road riders after doing so much on the track. She timed this sprint to perfection. These are her home roads. She led it out into that final corner, which is a bit of a risk, but she just trusted that it was the right move to make, and it was an uphill sprint. She had the strength and the speed to hold it. But Georgia Williams, what a ride. She's usually the domestic rider holding on for second there. I think that's a big ride for her. She'll be really happy, especially to see her best friend win this race.
You could see Ruby Roseman Gannon at the back of the group. She was celebrating. Williams was in second. It was then Di Francesco in third position on the stage. Nina Bilsman was fourth from Humid Powered Health. They're continuing their good tour. In fact, she was third. Nina Bilsman was third. It was Di Francesco who was fourth. Grace Brown was fifth. Spratt in the group. She didn't get gapped at all, so she didn't lose any additional time. Just the time bonus is now creating the gaps between the big pre-race favourites.
Very impressive ride by Dani Di Francesco. She's also been on our radar. Super strong rider, riding for the ZAF team. An Aussie that we want to see over in Europe this year. Big smile, though, from Georgia Williams. Happy with her result, but happy for her best friend to take the win. I can't really fault the tactics, though, of Trek Segafredo, even though they didn't get a result on the stage today. They really set up Amanda Spratt so well. They made the race really hard. They used up a lot of their manpower, drawing out the pace on that final climb, and then that really set up Spratty to be able to make such a good attack on the steepest part of the climb. She was looking so good. She set such a steady pace. It just didn't quite work, getting caught with 1K to go. It was Grace Brown that was on the back foot. She had a lot of team support from the FDJ team. I think she'll be a bit frustrated with today, so I think we're going to see a big battle tomorrow.
We will indeed. A beautiful shot of Urade, like the football ground, the tennis courts, the bowling green. Alex Manley, the stage winner. Williams in second. Bisman in third. It was then Di Francesco, followed by Brown. Nicole Frayne, who crashed earlier in the stage, in sixth. Duval, Smith, potentially the white jersey for the best young rider. Noskova, teammate of Di Francesco. Importantly, Spratt in 10th position, so no time gaps. It just the time bonuses throughout the stage, creating the gaps in the general classification. For Alex Manley, it is confirmed, though, that she will be moving into the race leader's jersey because of those time bonuses. There was a lot to like about today's stage. It started out the front of the National Motor Museum. Some wonderful cars inside that museum in Birdwood. It took a while for brakes to really get established today, Gracie, because so many people wanted a piece of the action that they wouldn't let anybody else go.
That's right, Matt. It was really difficult to get a breakaway going today. A lot of riders wanted to be in the breakaway, and then the other lot of riders wanted to ride conservatively, knowing how hard it was going to be in the final stages of this race today. But it really was a race of attrition once we got into that second half of the race. The roads looked like they just kept going up and up, even though the climb weren't classified as long climbs. It felt like they were just not getting hardly any respite out there. Some great spectators out on the road. Some interesting points going for the intermediate sprint classifications. The Trek Segafredo team trying to mop up those points with Alara Sanguinetti, but Grace Brown still claiming some more bonus seconds.
Well, the most aggressive team today certainly was the Trek Segafredo team. And once they got onto the climbs, they were on the move. But hats off to number 45 today. That is Claire Steels. She didn't get the points there for the Queen of the Mountains classification. That was Verhulst who got those points. But she should be wearing the red number tomorrow as the most combative. She spent a long time off the front on her own.
She was quite a dangerous rider, even though she was solo out there. Claire Steele's showing us how good she is on the climbs. There was a crash. That was Nicole Frayne riding for the National Australian team, also bringing down Team Bridge Lane rider Emily Watts. They're both okay. Nicole Frayne was able to take a top 10 on the stage today, and Emily was able to rejoin the peloton. It just really blew apart, though, once Claire Steels from the Israel Premier Tech Roland team pushed her pedals all the way up the climb. But it was the Trek Segafredo team that really used up all of their riders to set up Amanda Spratt to attack over the top of the Mount Lofty climb. She looked like she could take the stage solo. It was up to the FDJ team to try and bring her back.
Wouldn't she have loved the stage to have finished at the top of the climb? The numbers were against her. FDJ did all the work, looking to try and set up the stage victory for Grace Brown. But in the end, it was the local knowledge of Alex Manley that delivered the result for Jaco Alula. And the previous race winner, or the previous race leader, Pikaluk, coming in at close to 5 minutes behind. Amanda Spratt, one of the great animators of the day. She is now with Scott McGrory.
Really good form. You showed that on the roads. Almost made it all the way to the end.
Yeah, it's brutal sometimes, isn't it? But that sport, I mean, yeah, I got a really good gap. I felt great on the climb, actually. It was really fun to be able to attack like that again. I haven't been able to do that in a few years, so take a lot of confidence. And I was just pushing so hard and hoping I could make it. You know, that last corner just didn't come soon enough. So caught just before the line, but I mean, the team rode really, really well. We had a plan and they stuck to it, and I really have to thank my team. They set that up perfectly, and yeah, we've got one more day to chase that Oka jersey now.
And look, just explain that for everyone, because it has been a really tough couple of years for you with injury, so to be back at this form must be so special.
Yeah, exactly. Like the last 2 years, I had over a year ago now, I had surgery for iliac artery endofibrosis, and sort of last season was just a whole rebuilding season. So it feels pretty special that, you know, Trek Segafredo signed me and I'm joining one of the best teams in the world. And I've had my first normal pre-season since 2019, and I love these races. You know, Tour Down Under is one of my favourite races. So happy and motivated to be back here, and really special, and still chasing that win, and tomorrow's another chance.
Well, you looked happy, you looked strong, and the corkscrew tomorrow. So that's what it's all about. You must have more confidence after today.
Yeah, definitely. I've ridden the corkscrew a few times now. It's a climb that suits me, so we just have to really focus on that and hope we can bring it home.
Well, good luck for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Didn't quite get the desired outcome today, but Gracie Alvin, Amanda Spratt still looks to be the favourite to win based on the strength that we saw from her on the climb up Mount Lofty.
She fired her shot, didn't she, Matt? She is showing us that she's the one to beat on stage 3, but she certainly made it an exciting race today, and all credit to her teammates. She said so many good things about them in her interview, how they'd set her up perfectly for that move today. I'd say that they're looking to do something similar tomorrow. The corkscrew is such a difficult climb, but she's just so happy to be back racing at the Santos Tour Down Under. It's been one of her favourite races for many years, and such an important part of her season of preparation going into the European races.
Magnificent shot of Uradla. And here's a look at the overhead shot. This gives us great perspective, the amount of movement that happens within the last few hundred metres. And Alex Manley, you mentioned it before, Gracie, she used her local knowledge to perfection and backed herself. She wanted to be first through the last corner. We can see the move up the inside.
That's showing all that experience she has on the track and also on the road. They would have talked about it before the stage today if it came down to a situation like this, that you need to be first wheel going through that corner, and she was just so strong as it was an uphill sprint, keeping that speed. Georgia Williams just on her heels there, but Alex taking it all the way to the line, and a great post up.
A popular winner, Alexander Manley. Pats on the back between first and second place, former teammates. Great performance by the Kiwi in the pink colours, Williams. Danny DiFrancesco in the black colours for the ZAF team. She was outstanding today, 4th position. Let's hear from her now.
Danny, 4th on the stage, and this is in your first World Tour season because you won the National Road Series overall in Australia here last year. So what a great way to start your professional career.
Yeah, such a step up from the NRS with all the big girls, but yeah, no, it was a really good day today. I was pretty happy to be in the pointy end there. Just got pipped on the line for 3rd, so the girls did a great job at working together today.
How hectic was it? Because that final 20 kilometres or so, the ups and downs, lefts and rights, it was a really tricky finish.
Yeah, lots of steep descent, so yeah, just had to be on the ball all day long. So Spratty was up the road there in the last 10k, so yeah, the pace was on to catch her.
How much of a confidence boost is it for you to come straight into an event like this and be right at that point again against some of the best in the world?
Yeah, no, definitely a surprise, but definitely gives me some confidence with my new teammates. So yeah, I'm excited for this year.
Oh, good luck for all of it, and for tomorrow, the final day.
Yeah, thanks, Scott.
Well, we spoke about Danny DiFrancesco before the race got started, Gracie, as dangerous because she's a dark horse. She's the underdog, and she's still a threat for a spot on the podium overall.
She is. She's coming from a triathlon background. She's got a great engine, but she's got some really good all-rounder qualities. She's showing her strengths on the climb, but she's also putting herself in those great positions in the sprints. So she's going to be learning a lot from these race days, riding against some of the best riders in the world, but also getting that confidence, knowing that she deserves to be there, and she's going to keep trying.
There was a lot of people that had to do a lot of trying today to make it through to the finish line. It was a tough, tough day today, and there were some big time gaps in the end.